And spawning in the bottom right-hand side for Cap, it is MarineLorD.
His opponent in the blue, representing France as well and Team Liquid, it is Clem.
All right, let's hope that this one lives up to the expectations that we have set, Johan. I mean, on paper, this is actually the most one-sided of all matches today. But the confidence from MarineLorD, it really gives me confidence on his behalf, right? Like, he wouldn't go around telling us that he feels like he can win if he can't win.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, sometimes, like it's some of these players realize how confidence can be like really important, and they'll just like talk themselves up in a position where they've convinced themselves that they're going to be the winner in a match where they're really like a massive underdog. Confidence can help, but obviously like you need to be able to deliver when it's game time, and it is definitely game time now. I know MarineLorD watches quite a bit of UFC and stuff, so maybe he let some of these interviews affect him and try to think in the same way as some of these fighters do before their fights.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I mean, you have to be confident. That is kind of the first step, though, right? Like, if you're not confident, then you're probably losing. So while confidence may not win you the game, it at least, I feel like, doesn't take you right off it, right? If you don't believe you can win, then you can't win.
Yeah, that's true. Pretty important to have at least a minimum of confidence. MarineLorD flew his barracks
very cool
inside of the main base of Clem, who's completely unsuspecting currently, and I feel like might not check this corner since he hasn't checked it yet. So it's going to be a Mulder proxy with concussive shells.
I am shaking with excitement, Johan. I mean, this looks pretty good for MarineLorD already on paper. Also made a barracks back at home to deflect that Reaper and not just straight up die to it. How many Marauders do you think he's going to make? As many as he gets away with, as he can get away with, or?
Yeah, this is the never-ending kiting job here that is going to begin very soon. He might wait for like the third one to be halfway through done or even finished before he finally shows up with it. Usually you want to at least have concussive shells. And he's hoping that the Reapers will be out of position. Like, Clem hasn't scouted anything, but he's staying on his side of the map, probably because he knows how tricky MarineLorD can be with some of his own Reapers showing up or any potential attack right now. I don't think he knows about this proxy and is waiting for the right moment to go up there and defend, because as soon as that starts hitting, he's going to be losing walkers immediately.
Yes, indeed. However, SCVs are not terrible against Marauders, because Marauders will overkill and don't fire particularly fast. Marines much better at taking down SCVs quickly. So this is why I love that MarineLorD is waiting as long as possible, as long as he's not spotted. And now with 3 Marauders, 4th one halfway done, he's gonna go inside. The units of Clem are nearby, but they don't seem to be enough. And the factory getting an add-on right now is not gonna help Clem either. Things are looking pretty good to start off for MarineLorD. Oh, this mine though.
Yeah, we're looking for the full surround. Very important to get out of this. There could have been some friendly fire if he hadn't been careful, but Clem pulled all SCVs off the line. He really wanted to shut down this attack completely here. He will be able to get rid of his Marauders, but he's brought down to 20 workers against 26. Might be a good idea to cancel that incoming Marauder here, MarineLorD, because there is a Widow Mine waiting right outside at the exit.
Yeah, and all things said and done, I think, Todd, the ideal case scenario for MarineLorD would have been if Clem was further out of position, like you were talking about. And with this said, I mean, while he is going to be a little bit ahead in workers for now, he doesn't yet have his orbital command. He doesn't even have a command center completed, actually. So I don't know that this was super successful.
Yeah, and we're already on triple gas here from Clem. So he's definitely mining quite a bit from that as well. On top of the mules that he's already using. We get a tech lab actually on the other side on the starport here from MarineLorD, and he's getting a cyclone to get ready for. I mean, after you go for this kind of attack, you always expect some sort of counter attack to happen sometime soon, and you would be right in that.
Yeah, so MarineLorD is at least gonna get a heads up as far as what is going on here. Clem not blocking. Oh, I thought he was gonna reposition the tank to block this from happening. MarineLorD actually stealing the add-on like the thief that he is. Stealing our votes, add-ons, and now he has to make an extra add-on, Clem, that is, in order to utilize his starport for a potential Raven. Will this be enough for MarineLorD to hold?
Oh, he's the one that's out of position this time. At least he has the wall Let's see if he reacts on time. Okay, yeah, he's gonna be able to raise that. Actually, kind of traps the units here in the process.
Yeah, but the tank is not entirely in range to fire. So that is the dangerous bit.
You get the medivac, that would be huge.
Oh. Yeah, he should have targeted.
Yeah,
definitely should have targeted the medevac there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Starts the third CC immediately behind it. So MarineLorD, this makes him so confident. Having killed his unit, he's like, okay, I'm safe for a while. I'll get the third command center to expand further.
Good fix there from Clem to target fire. A beautiful move from MarineLorD to drop the auto turret, but it's not enough. I love that auto turret, anticipating that the medevac would pick up the tank. Unfortunately for MarineLorD, that medevac escapes with nearly no HP. One more shot from a Marine might have done the job.
I guess 5 hit points.
Yeah. Yet still, Todd. Not too bad. A little bit of a recovery, if that is fair to say. I'm not sure that is fair to say. But with the third CC on the way, I think MarineLorD could be looking at a strong mid-game still.
MarineLorD for a very long time was one of those Terrans that absolutely loved playing mech. So I'm curious if there is even a chance here. He might go for something like that. We've seen it not too long ago, but he's now swapping the barracks onto the tech lab. Kind of tells me he wants to start Stim probably very soon. There it is. Yeah, so going to be playing Bio. He's already going to Vikings for air control. I guess there's not so much pure Bio these days as much as there is like you have to mix in a lot of tanks regardless. So it still somewhat feels, you know, mech-ish in that like you're always going to have a lot of tanks that you need to manage and siege and everything. And they're both going for the same thing. The Vikings and the tanks being produced as a priority right now.
Yes, indeed. It is, of course, one of the best Terrans in the world that MarineLorD is up against. In Clem, both players, I believe, with... Oh, actually, Clem with just one Raven to the 2 of MarineLorD, who is looking to move out now. And this could be interesting. He does have one less tank than Clement. Could you say his name? Clement?
Clément.
Clement.
Clément Desplanches.
Clement de Planche.
Not bad.
Thank you, thank you.
MarineLorD gets spotted here. Clem's already in position to fully push this back. The only thing that MarineLorD has going for him really is that he's got this double Raven building up on quite a bit of energy right now. The more he waits, the more he's going to have to use and try and win the fight with. Interference Matrix, usually the key thing that you're going to want to be using here in those fights.
Yes, indeed. That's going to be very, very important. He has to make up for the lack of tanks on the side of MarineLorD. He will land his third a little bit sooner than Clem. And oddly enough, as weird as this game has been, it is pretty even right now. Workers just one ahead for Clem after all things are said and done. MarineLorD will spot this force moving for Clem. There is interference matrix on either side. And extra energy perhaps from MarineLorD potentially to drop auto turrets. However, this medevac drop from Clement de Planche is gonna go into the main and kill a few SCVs. Also stop mining for a little bit.
Maybe an anti-armor missile would have been good as well for MarineLorD, but yeah, they traded one Raven for one, so now only MarineLorD is left over with the one that he has. And when we start having like, you know, let's say even just 3 Vikings plus, that's when it's really dangerous for those Ravens to actually make any sort of movements in the air, especially like you just can't have them at the front, otherwise they're gonna fall very rapidly to those Viking shots. Clem really wants to be aggressive here. He sees the army in position defensively, he's like, I don't care. Just want to move there, you know, test you a little bit, see if you're reactive enough to defend against this. And so far, MarineLorD has been.
He has aced the test.
Pass with flying colors.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, Clem is going to have to just back away as he no longer holds air control after those skirmishes that MarineLorD has been able to win in the air. And not even pulling the Vikings, which perhaps Clem was hoping for with that one medevac that wasn't in the main of MarineLorD. So now MarineLorD has pretty good control of his natural base, still trading a little bit of supply. Clem is an excellent player, and he is getting his own upgrades a little bit sooner than MarineLorD. So some advantages on either side. Clem a little bit faster as well to his 4th.
Yeah, the upgrades is always nice to get going earlier than the opponent. Usually there's not going to be that big of a difference. MarineLorD actually forgot about his +1 armor here for a little bit, but not by too much. And yeah, we finally see the armory about to finish for him as Clem's only now starts. I like what Heromarine mentioned, by the way. Like, you know, Clem, it doesn't really matter, like almost like what he does. He has great mechanics. He's always able to come back in this kind of game. And that's something we need to keep in mind the further we go into the game, which might end up giving him some sort of advantage, even though MarineLorD's always been known for also having really solid macro and expanding.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, MarineLorD is an excellent player mechanically, but Clem, he is magic. So we'll see what he is able to pull off here as he pushes on forward with the tanks. Both players were very similarly positioned sensor towers, and now it is MarineLorD that's going on the other side of the map and forcing Clem to see him on the sensor tower, relocate his army to answer. And looks like we're just going to have a little bit of a stalemate. But I completely agree with you. I think that Clem, given enough time, will outpace MarineLorD in the small things.
Look at this double additional starport here for MarineLorD around these naturals. So already looking to go into more Vikings, maybe add on some Liberators down the line as well. Really take this air control as much as he can as they're saturating the fourth base at the exact same time here. It's time to, like, if you're Clem here and you think you can really outmaneuver MarineLorD and you are ahead in supply, and which he is, it's time to start moving out and apply pressure the way he's doing it. Even though there is a sensor tower, like, you know, some good scans, if you can get set up one single siege properly, like we've seen some of these games come to an end very abruptly, he's actually going to steam forward, fully realizing that there was not going to be enough units. This is what I was talking about. MarineLorD cannot let this happen. He was out of position.
Yeah, unfortunately, he stimmed and showed his entire army on the top right on the top right of the map, so that gave Clem the go as he was already out on the map with his army. And now this base is going to be the knight from MarineLorD, who's going to try to potentially make something happen on the other side of the map. Scans sees 2 tanks sieging. That might already be too much, as there's some turrets as well to help with the medevacs. And instead, on the retreat, perhaps catch some units. Not nearly enough to equalize, though.
Sorry, I'm trying to sandwich the army. Vikings going forward for MarineLorD here. Looking to try and get some info, but all the medivacs for Clem were already sent back home. This Raven with a lot of energy here for MarineLorD. If we finally could get a fight with it. I mean, I know it's hard because there is Vikings, there is Marines, obviously would die very quick. And Clem adding his own double additional starport back at home is worried about a drop and moves all the Vikings up there. Don't tell me he's going to land them. He lands them!
Yeah, he might have scanned MarineLorD and might be chasing after the starports of MarineLorD, which were a little bit earlier. MarineLorD did finish 2-2, whereas Clem hasn't, but is about to. So upgrades are about to equalize for the first time in the game. And Clem with a little bit better control over the map. The sensor tower will finish timely for MarineLorD to see this attack coming. And surely he will be able to reposition his army, though he hasn't yet. A little bit slow to answer here.
Clem really wants to be aggressive towards his base, and he's reading the game so well every time, but this time there's a lot of tanks ready in position here for the defense. Anti-armor missile will land big time. Those units are getting Donald Trump here, turning orange.
Oh man. The SCVs mining the gas are actually what allows the extra range with the splash for Clem to pick off tanks that MarineLorD could not pick off. However, MarineLorD does have the extra tool in the Liberator, and for now on this side of the map, air control as well as a harassing Liberator on the other side. Beautiful moves here from MarineLorD to stabilize. And while yes, Clem has had a little bit better economy, that is perhaps not as important in this matchup as it is in any other matchup, because it really comes down to big fights and positional engagements, and that's what TVT is all about.
Way earlier upgrades for MarineLorD. You're seeing this in the production tab. I mean, they started COVID Reactor at the same time, which is important because they are getting a lot of Ravens, both of them. But the 3-3 was never started for Clem. It's almost a halfway through down here for MarineLorD. So that could be a big advantage if it came down to it and they actually took a fight, which it's never guaranteed because, you know, they're so reliant on the amount of tanks and Liberators that they have. And Clem, every time that MarineLorD moves out of position, is ready to attack into this base, and he will go for it again.
Yeah, and he will find himself a decent position with the tanks, only in range actually to siege one of the gases. And now MarineLorD protecting his tanks with the Liberators, or protecting his base with the Liberators and protecting the Liberators from Marines with his tanks. So we'll be able to push this away once more. And while yes, Clem has found openings to actually get close to the base, he hasn't found the damage that he was looking for.
And 2 more starports here for Clem around his expansion. Ooh, he mistakenly queued double upgrade in one of his armories, actually, the one at the bottom. At his expo, big mistake there. Can't let that happen. I think he's pretty sure he wants to be getting both of them at the same time.
He is playing against the legend of MarineLorD, so maybe he's just a little nervous himself. As MarineLorD is looking strong. I mean, this is a very even game all the way through. This could still very much go either way It's going to come down to 1 or 2 big engagements, I think, Johan. It's going to come down to the air battle, to the Ravens. And it's MarineLorD now looking for a little bit of extra damage with that medevac to the south. I love that.
Yeah, they're doing the dance for now, just kind of waiting for the opponents to make a misstep, to move out of position. They're dancing the ballet. Yeah,
Is ballet French?
I think, yeah, it might be. I know we have a lot of dancers that do ballet.
Sounds kind of ballet. It sounds kind of French, the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely dancing the ballet. MarineLorD, one of the best ballet dancers. Let's see what happens here as both of the tanks are gonna get disabled, and actually Clem might find himself in a position to continue on pushing. Remember, he has added a lot of starports there, so he will be able to contest these Liberators in the air soon.
MarineLorD has more Vikings. They have the same amount of Ravens with 7 against 7. All right, here we go. Vikings on top of Vikings here. Anti-armor missile lands on the Ravens. Interference matrix about to expire in here on a lot of those tanks, but that orbital command is under heavy siege.
Yeah, it's gonna survive for now though, and the Vikings of MarineLorD, like you said, there's more of them. The Liberator therefore is completely uncontested on the side of Clem. I loved some of the moves that Clem made, especially this one is really nice. Also during the fight, I think with the Ravens, he had some really cool moves to drop the turrets to try and help his Vikings, knowing that he had tank coverage, and that's a little bit of a mistake actually from Clem, losing both medevacs, having to pay attention every which way, as well as in the south where MarineLorD's gonna find himself an opening to kind of siege this mineral line from behind and out of range of the planetary fortress. Overall, I would say another wash or so, right? It looked really scary for MarineLorD, but again, he stabilizes.
Yeah, the thing is, Clem killed a bunch of SCVs there, and MarineLorD is not necessarily replacing them. He's staying on 55. MarineLorD has lost 28 SCVs this game. So now he's on 55 against 81, and he might use the opportunity to just spam army and have the way bigger army supply to fight more effectively. But yeah, this air army of Clem is looking super scary. 9 Ravens, 6 Vikings.
Oh, here it comes.
Against...
Is this it?
Yeah, oh
Johan,
my God,
I think we're getting ready for a huge fight, perhaps. Tank fire going on either side, and actually Clem gets pretty good volleys onto the army of MarineLorD. MarineLorD doesn't have that many SCVs. He did morph some orbital commands a little bit sooner, but not a lot of them, not a ton of them, to be honest. So the economy for Clem is definitely getting better and better. MarineLorD's gonna chase here in the air. The Ravens are gonna have to use defensive turrets here to try and stabilize the tanks of Clem on the retreat, and now MarineLorD might have an opening to push on forward, perhaps to that north. I mean, is that northeast? No, northwest. Northwestish base?
MarineLorD has more Vikings, by the way, but I don't think he's been utilizing the best that he could. If he would actually like go forward and shot once at a time, then pull back. Now on the Raven count, he's actually falling behind. It's 8 for Clem, only 3 for MarineLorD. He's trailing behind in workers, but his army supply is actually massive. 137 to 109. He's got the more upgrades right now. He just can't find a good fight though, because he's kind of staying on his side of the map, playing defensive, because Clem just keep assaulting him. He's defending all the time, and that leaves a lot of room for Clem to do whatever he wants on the other side and always find some damage onto those new bases that are being taken.
Yeah, once again, the defensive auto turrets there to protect the Vikings of Clem and enable him to take that CC down. Let's see what MarineLorD can do as he repositions his army. He does have, like you said, the bigger army, but this is a really awkward place to engage. I was hoping that the engagement happened more decisively down the ramp where they were meeting in the middle, kind of where MarineLorD's army is right now, because that was an open space. I think that there he could have used a lot of his extra supply in his advantage. As it stands, his one advantage is the Liberators, I think. Will that be enough?
All right, MarineLorD finally going on the offensive, goes to speak on how confident he has gotten here after defending multiple times the attack of his opponent. Oh my God, the anti-armor missile hits so many of these Ravens and Vikings as well. Units on both sides falling very rapidly. We still got 15 Vikings to 14 and 6 Ravens to 6. They have an equal tank count. It's so even still.
Yeah, but the Liberators are crucial here from MarineLorD. They will dislodge the position from Clem. Clem might have to go on a counter-offense if he doesn't feel like he can contend with this army. It looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. This could as well be a flank, but I don't think so. Clem looks indecisive as he retreats back to his base, potentially to defend. MarineLorD also a little bit indecisive, not knowing whether he should stay and will end up pulling back. But I don't like that pullback as much from MarineLorD because he is behind in economy.
He's worried about the counter. I think his only priority here is to get maxed out with more army and then try to find an effective fight, which is just so hard, right? Like, it feels like for this whole game, they're just scanning one another, being tentative, and not fully engaging, because whoever engages into a siege line like Clem's right now would get absolutely demolished. He actually unsieged! Oh my god. MarineLorD leapfrog forward with those tanks here, and he's on the chase a little bit, but he can't go too far against that tank line here. Auto turrets will drop some of these tanks out of there.
Yeah, no, it's MarineLorD with the auto turrets first, but the Viking numbers and the anti-armor missile favoring Clem for a second there, as now he's willing to turn. The Liberators willing to engage the air to soak up some shots and do some AoE damage to the Vikings of Clem. Will push him back for the time being. Yeah, it looks like you're right, Todd. It looks like MarineLorD really wants to take a decisive engagement, and it looks like when the armies do size up with this air control and those Liberators, MarineLorD has taken the better end of the engagements with the extra supply. So Clem looking to avoid the fight, looking to continue to enjoy his greater economy and remaxing potential, whereas MarineLorD is like, fight me, bro.
Yeah, he wishes that it was that easy. MarineLorD's forgetting a lot of units at his expo. I don't know what's up. Like, I guess the rally point is fine, but I guess he's not a disciple of the school of the F2 here, because sometimes he's missing some of his units. Clem coming in strong here with a lot of army. MarineLorD's not overextending. That's very important. If he runs into that siege line here, he's going to lose everything in an instant. And he found 2 tanks and 2 Marines here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, sieging the PF. What the hell?
Oh. Beautiful moves here from MarineLorD. Clem doesn't really have empty supply to answer this right now. Obviously, this could be microed a little bit better if MarineLorD could pay full attention to it. Clem's gonna send the medevac as the last-minute resource, right? Like, it's gonna boost it up, and it's gonna be like, go take care of that. We need that taken care of. It is a very important base for Clem. The same can be said for this bases for MarineLorD, and Clem is actually going for it as he lands all of his Vikings. Now the tanks for MarineLorD are sieged on the other side of things. More Vikings here for Clem than there are for MarineLorD, I believe. But now a few more Vikings are joining in for MarineLorD. And with that anti-armor missile, he's going to get the edge once again. No Liberators this time around to dislodge the tank force of Clem. As MarineLorD is going to continue to break his rocks. Will lose a base for his troubles. But this might be an opportunity for him to capitalize. Imagine just having one of those Liberators left over here, Todd. He would be able to make those tanks unsiege, go on the chase. And this could be a game-ending maneuver from MarineLorD, unfortunately, just lacking that one Liberator.
Yeah, it seems like Clem is just slightly outmaneuvering MarineLorD for this whole game. Not by a lot, but this move here of saying, okay, you're going to be stuck on the other side of the debris, and I'm going to take out this base, is so important, because now Clem is going to be even further ahead economy-wise, even though he's only up by 3 walkers currently, because he's finally lost some of the so many that he had in the bottom left-hand side. And oh my god, he's 3-3 so late. Look at this. He's only now finishing 3-3. MarineLorD has had that ages ago. So this really goes to show how well Clem has been doing with taking those fights and pressuring.
Yeah, the way that MarineLorD engaged those Marines, actually, if 3-3 was done for Clem, I think Clem would have won with the extra medevac against those Marines fighting in the line. And then that gets a little bit more troublesome for MarineLorD on that side, as he needs to allocate some resources there to answer. MarineLorD instead is pushing the north of the map. And here we see a large force of Clem that's most likely going to be able to deal with this command center rather easily. Some Liberators, though, beautifully sieged, and with the siege tanks in the back, Clem could easily overextend. This is a very tense game, very evenly matched, Johan.
Yeah, they're going toe-to-toe here. Like, supplies still somewhat about even. Ship weapons and vehicle plating level 3. Completing now for MarineLorD. So many upgrades have been made this game. And now MarineLorD is full of confidence, finally. You know, he just kept on defending well enough everywhere. He lost the base. He's like, all right, this is my turn to attack. And he's actually finding some big damage here. Forces the orbital command to lift up and actually snipes it with the Vikings. But on the other side, I think this attack was detected, though. Okay, he's moving back to defend.
Oh, huge anti-armor missile, but is that going to be enough? One of the tanks in range to fire. That's going to help out a lot. But these 2 red tanks are not going to have much of a say. A lot or all of the Marines of Clem are deep in the red, and now Clem going for a big attack, big surround here. The Ravens are going to help with interference matrix, and Clem is going to be able to clean out. Much needed cleanup for Clem, who's still trailing behind in supply after all of this.
This game is crazy, man. Like, oh my god, if the whole series is like this. They'll be losing our mines. MarineLorD 173 supply to 145 now. Still sieging towards the top. They have equal tank count, 5 to 5. But Viking-wise, MarineLorD is doing so much better with 20 against 5.
These Liberators as well. What a
air control, man.
I mean, not just here, right? In the group stages as well, clearly just showing up here and saying, hey, this is not a fluke. I'm actually looking the best that I've looked in a long time, if not ever. MarineLorD with fantastic TVT here. And game is not close to being done. However, as Clem is still going strong and on the offense, he's going to find a couple of tanks. No more Raven energy to speak of. I think maybe a little bit more will net him another interference matrix, but now finding an opening, gonna go all the way and look for the production of MarineLorD. Not that many tanks on the side of Clem. There is Liberator still for MarineLorD, so he can dislodge this location, and if he has enough army, then he can collapse onto it. But it's a very, very tense moment. This could very well decide things.
Such a sick move by Clem to say, okay, like, you're pressuring me too much, you got complete air control, there's no way I can defend for much longer. So he goes on the offensive himself, but now slow reaction on those tanks. A lot of them have already gone down. MarineLorD might just go for the full-on engagement here. Tanks on the right side trying to defend against the Marines. There is 1, 2 on the high ground as well. And Clem is getting cleaned up. MarineLorD takes a massive supply lead now.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful defense on his side of things, right? Clem was like, oh, you're chasing me? I'm going to continue to dive on deeper. But MarineLorD was already settled there with a few tanks sieged and his reinforcements not being necessarily rallied all the way forward. I think that was even tricky for Clem because MarineLorD did rally forward some reinforcements, and that would be the 500 IQ play if it was on purpose. Like, hey, look, I'm wasting a few Marines, but I got a bunch more in the back, right? Because then Clem kind of overextends, goes in too deep, and like you said, it's a 50 supply advantage for Alexis MarineLorD.
Yeah, I mean, the air control, he's had it the entire game. He's got 3-3 Vikings against 1-2 Vikings. And there's not even advanced ballistics either for Clem. So Clem is choosing to play more Marine heavy. And yes, he has slightly more mobility, which he has used really well. But as long as MarineLorD defended well enough, which he has, in the long run, feels like a better end game composition here to be able to try and win this game with.
Yeah, now sieging this base, one of the very important bases of this game. A lot of Ravens and Raven energy, however, for Clement. So he's gonna go in there and do what he can. That is a lot of Marines, a much bigger concave for the young French. So this is gonna go well in his favor. The air army is not gonna have much of a say. Some tanks on the high ground will tax the ground army, and actually MarineLorD even considering perhaps landing those Vikings. But with the tanks gone, there is no purpose in that. The supplies are a little bit closer than they were just a minute ago, Johan. This game is still going.
Yeah. Resources lost, looking absolutely crazy as well. 44,000 for MarineLorD, but 55,000 for Clem. So MarineLorD has been getting the better trades for the whole game. Still ahead in supply, but Clem is doing such a good job of taking those engagements here with a lot of Marines that he has. Definitely he's starting to slow down a little. He has 1 medivac left for all these mass Marines that he has, 53 of them.
Yeah, remember, he used a lot of that Raven energy in the last push as well, Clem, that is. So he is going to have another engagement, but if there is a third wave, he's going to start lacking that energy. The Ravens are going to run out of fuel effectively, and then MarineLorD could find another opening. So he's going to have a couple of punches to throw here at Clem. The Liberator has been the MVP unit of this game.
The map has been completely split. So it's always going to be important, the resources lost. Tab telling a lot here in this case, unless one of the players can somehow get this massive army that's like really hard to stop, but they're still like equal in terms of supply, but army value definitely favoring MarineLorD quite heavily here.
Yeah, and he thinks this is an opportunity, but just as he goes in, Clem has a tank siege. There are no medevacs whatsoever on the side of MarineLorD, so every stim is kind of costly. He thought that he could commit. He thought that he had an opportunity, not finding it. Let's see what Clem can find, as this maneuver has already yielded him some good results in the past, but now scanning that MarineLorD is willing to continue to push on forward, Clem will scan and pull back himself.
I'm not sure if Clem wanted to pretend that he was going to move out across the map. Probably, yeah. I think he's trying to move out of the way to let MarineLorD get impatient and then attack into him. And then he will come in from the sides when MarineLorD wouldn't expect it. The thing is, MarineLorD's using this position really well now to siege at the top. Oh my god, there's so many of these Marines above this planetary fortress, just kind of seeking refuge with the one medivac.
Yeah, and now with that position that MarineLorD is actually sieging at the north, then Clem feels committed here because MarineLorD with this position, he's not going to charge on forward. That is a good enough base for him to take down and feel happy about. So Clem instead is going to go south and a little bit of a pseudo base trade. It may not turn into a full-on base trade, but I mean, taking each other's key bases here with the most resources at the south and north of the map respectively.
Each player could actually very easily fly their main orbital to that base again now and retake it. The problem with that is that, you know, if it's not a planetary, it's very easily attackable. And we've seen this whole game how there's almost no base that's safe, really. MarineLorD finally he's going for the final upgrades. He's gotten almost every upgrade that there is to get on these units, actually all of them. He's now going for vehicle weapons +3, which Clem, stopped after the number 2 himself.
Yeah, this is some ballet we're watching here, Johan. And Clem is looking for a little bit of a ballet parking with those tanks as he's gonna siege one of the very important bases of MarineLorD now and actually just go for it straight up with those Marines. However, MarineLorD with a good anti-armor missile will force the Marines to respect the planetary fortress. And now it's just the tanks that are gonna get kind of disabled. However, MarineLorD, all of his army is very deep in the red, has to siege those tanks in the back. Now Clem coming in with his own Ravens will disable the entire force of MarineLorD. Both players are kind of even-ish in supply. A lot of the Raven energy spent for MarineLorD in order to try and protect the tanks, and Clem will be forced to tap out. After a massive engagement, MarineLorD will secure the first game in an amazing fashion, Johan.
Yeah, that last fight was insane. So many tanks were had interference matrix used on them. They were not able to shoot for a while. I thought he might maybe land the Vikings earlier, but it was actually the right call to clear everything that was in the skies first. And MarineLorD looked absolutely relieved here after this game, just kind of put his hands together. And I think you could tell how important that first map was for him to open up the scoreboard on.
I mean, to give you an idea, Todd, of what the general consensus is, what people thought going into this match as far as betting is concerned, as far as bookies are concerned, MarineLorD taking one map paid more than Clem taking a 3-0. So MarineLorD's victory is an 8-1 disadvantage as far as the bookies are concerned. That is how little people believed in MarineLorD, and now he's up one map, the first one of them all, and it was cheesy at the start, yes, but the way that he won it was through very strong, freaking solid play, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think the proxy put him far ahead or anything.
Not
he just
at all.
got a few kills. Like, it was very good defense, I thought, actually, by Clem. And then behind this, it looked absolutely equal. I think they reached 101 supply at the exact same time with the exact same numbers. There was a slight tech difference in that on MarineLorD's sides, we focused a lot more on getting a lot of Vikings with full upgrades on them. Whereas Clem prioritized Marines more to be more mobile and to try and be aggressive, but the defense was always good enough, barely good enough at times by MarineLorD to minimize the damage that he was taking.
Yeah, he held the air control, and with that, you know, tanks in the back, liberators at the front, it was all about those liberators. And Clem is gonna need an answer to those, by the way, if he's unwilling or if he doesn't feel as confident in that same style that MarineLorD was trying to pull off. If he can't take or contest that air control and feels a little bit like leaning towards the bio because maybe that's just simply what's worked out for him, he's gonna have to adapt. He's gonna have to learn in this series and adapt to a MarineLorD that's showing, you know, a very strong TVT. And he always has his own flavor too, right?
Yeah, for sure. I gotta say, I'm surprised because I thought that MarineLorD at some point might crumble under the pressure at least a little more. You know, I didn't think it was necessarily gonna come to an end very abruptly, even though in Terran Mirror, that's always a possibility, but he held down so well, like really mad props for this game because he was under a ton of pressure and Clem was really on point with the army movement, always finding a little bit of damage here and there with the sieging.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Clem did Clem things, right? Like he was poking on one side, then coming in the other. He was sometimes just carving his way through and looking for like stray units and doing very well at that. And I'm completely with you. I mean, when that game started and MarineLorD floated the barracks, I was like, nice. I mean, maybe this is the kind of strategy that will net MarineLorD a quick, sneaky win. When Clem stabilized and when we were, headed into the late game, I was like, well, it's just a matter of time. MarineLorD's going to get outpaced. MarineLorD's going to get outplayed. None of that thought.
I'm impressed with MarineLorD after that game because, like you said, it was not like he was like all cheesing or doing something. No, he showed that he can do it all. Like throwing a cheese in the start, play solid in the mid game, play defensive, and then go on the offensive when he needed to. He had enough killer instinct. Even though there was a time where I thought maybe he could do better with the Vikings. Maybe I was nitpicking a little bit too much, but now Clem has to go into this match with maybe some adjustments on his own. Like you mentioned, maybe go into Liberators earlier, try to match MarineLorD at his own game, but you don't need to wait any further because we're already in map number 2 here on Blackburn, starting in the southwest, playing as the Red Terran. It is MarineLorD. Playing for Team Coca Authentique Pépite.
Oh, I'm playing for Team Liquid, one of the best in the world. It is Clem. Clement de Planche.
Clément Desplanches.
Clement de Planche. What about Alexis Eusebio? How do you say that?
Alexis Eusebio.
Alexis Eusebio.
You're a Spanish speaker. I thought you would do better.
Really? Okay, let me try again. Say it. I'll repeat it one more time.
Alexis Eusebio.
Alexis Eusebio.
Eusebio. Okay. It's fine. Okay. Hey, great job.
That was the most let's move on. Great job I ever heard you on. But I'll take it.
We got a double refinery opener for both players here, which, on Blackburn, I feel like there's always a map in the map pool that's like, there's the second coming of like, Newkirk or whatever. Like, you got this air distance at the bottom, which makes things a little awkward. Like it's more encouraging to play some sort of drop or air and stuff. So makes sense to go for a build like this.
Yeah, picking up what you're putting down. Definitely a strong map to make some early aggression through air. Not so much through the ground because of the ramp and how far away that is. But we'll see what happens. As both players dropping a factory, both players starting with the Reaper. There are Reaper paths behind the players' main bases. So both players are going to be checking actually for proxies. So a very strong, perfect, more or less mirror with MarineLorD's Reaper actually being out on the map a little bit earlier.
And MarineLorD, this time around, there is a chance he makes some of his own adjustments. I mean, the game worked out super well for him. It doesn't feel like he needs to change anything. He could play the exact same, but also, if he thinks there's going to be some sort of adjustment from Clem, he could try and think in advance of what he could do to try and counter that better. On a map like this, where it's like, one player's left, one player's right, and like it feels like all of the bases are, not that hard to take, like close by and stuff. We could end up seeing a super crazy game where they just like completely split the map and then, start mixing in some super late game with beasties and everything.
Yeah, that is an expected loss for MarineLorD. It could have been worse, I suppose. Clem with a perfect stutter step there to continue to chase. The Hellion will catch up to this Reaper, but the Reaper's already regenerating, and actually the Hellion steps onto the slow zone, which will slow him down, as slow zones often do.
Some great insights.
Well, that's why he didn't catch up with the Reaper,
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, Johan.
At least you didn't talk about an upgrade that doesn't exist.
Johan! It exists if it exists in your mind.
All right, Clem with the saturated second CC earlier than MarineLorD. I feel like if Clem can get a couple things like this happening in a row in his favor, it's really going to start adding up very quickly, because we saw last game how much he was making happen with the siege.
Yeah, however, this that's pretty helpful to have the Cyclone here. Just one Hellion is going to fall. But it might be enough for Clem to overwhelm. He's going to decide otherwise and just pull back.
What do you think the chances are we see mech this series?
Pretty high, I would say 80% chance at least.
Well, what's the percentage that you want to see, Mech?
I would say
This is a solid 100% here.
Yeah, 95
80?
99%. Yeah, I definitely want to see Mech. Yeah. So 100%. I guess it's binary, right? It's either yes or no. So, yeah.
You either do or you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to see Mech, Johan. I have decided.
We'll see. I think MarineLorD might be the one more inclined to go for it. I just don't know how confident he would feel with it against somebody as good as Clem. Like, Clem, if I think about what he got known for first, I kind of think of his TVZ, right? Where he was dropping all over the place and like multitasking like a madman. If you want to play Mech, I mean, yes, you could go for like a mass turret to make sure you're safe and Sensor Tower. But if he starts finding a little bit of damage with any of the drops, or even aggression and like outmaneuvering with the tanks, you're going to be in big trouble against this guy.
Yeah, certainly. MarineLorD is going to try to take his third command center to try and equalize on the economic front, as he has taken some damage. He's lagging behind 5 workers already. Clem will do the same. So not going to be taking any advantage on that front is MarineLorD. Clem already looking very strong throughout this early game in this map. But yeah, not all is set in stone until we see a couple of those bigger or medium-sized, at least, skirmishes down the line.
For some time, it seemed like 3 Raven was like always the number you wanted to open with first, and then later you'll go into more. But I've seen Terran sometimes stop after like 1, 2, but in this game, we've got the second one on the way now for MarineLorD. Oh, he's gonna swap. Okay, so MarineLord's gonna do 2, and Clem's gonna do 3. I prefer 3.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing to think about how many Ravens you should make, because Ravens will kind of lose value in a certain sense the more you get them, especially early game, right? Because they overlap in their role. That is to say, the first energy that the Raven uses for, say, an interference matrix will use the interference matrix on the most valuable tank to interference matrix. Therefore, the second interference matrix is less good, etc., etc. So it's an issue of how much the players value the Raven past their maximum value, if that makes any sense. Like, yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I don't mind 2 or 3. 4 seems to be the threshold where everyone says, yeah, that's way too many. And none seems to be the threshold where everyone's like, oh no, it's too good of a unit. You can't just not make it.
Yeah, but that's first when they come out. They gain value like a French wine, But like once you've opened it, once you started using some of these little things you can use with them, of course, you need to consume the rest and let them reach their expiry date. Probably doesn't do it.
It does make perfect sense. It does make perfect sense. You are a wine expert.
I'm not actually. Not at all.
Well, when it comes to, I mean, we've talked about it, Johan. It's not the wines that you drink, the ones that you're an expert at.
Wait, what? Oh. Yeah, that was a great comeback, actually.
Yeah.
Not the same type of wine.
Not the same type of wine.
Okay, so MarineLorD, this is kind of what I was hoping for here. Is the one going double factory, pumping out a lot of tanks. On the other side, we have a triple barracks steam pack on the way, so it's going to be a good old mech against bio, where on this map, like I said, Clem is really good at dropping, finding some damage and stuff, but on this map, if MarineLorD starts making a line of turret around his base and has a Sensor Tower and is very sound defensively, then it kind of feels like this army of Clem falls off in terms of its usability against a solid mech player.
Definitely. Very good positioning on that tank on the high ground as well for MarineLorD. Both players are going to look to engage here. A lot of the turrets actually going down for Clem a little bit faster than MarineLorD. This could be lights out. Luckily for MarineLorD, not all of the tanks of Clem are in range, and some of the bio is actually overextending. This tank for Clem on the back end will also get picked off. And all in all, a successful defense for MarineLorD. But Johan, I can't help but to think that Clem could have done a little bit more there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to attack into a tank line like this. Like, there was also like the tank on the high ground there, sitting up there like a king, putting stuff down. And now a Sensor Tower. This is what I was talking about. MarineLorD fully realizes that even if his 4th base is way more delayed than that of Clem, as long as he can eventually take it and get close to maxing out. Like, he just lost a couple tanks, so which weakens his tank count, which is a very important part of playing this style. So I think he's gonna want to slow things down and really turtle hard here in this game, whereas Clem kind of going home right now, trying to regroup with reinforcements. For Clem to find a position to siege into is going to be so hard against the 3-base Terran.
Should be pretty difficult indeed. Okay, I mean, 2 armories on the side being added for MarineLorD, so he's gonna be looking for those upgrades big time, as well as some more defensive capabilities in the way of those turrets that you were mentioning and suggesting earlier, as well as the sensor tower to cover his own main. All right, we look to be heading towards a later type game. MarineLorD gonna be content just expanding slowly on this map, one of the better maps for mech, as it is widely whispered. Johan, who do you think is gonna take it right now?
Ooh, that's tough. I think it's gonna be maybe decided in the next minute or two, because Clem is looking to try and set up a 2-pronged attack, maybe towards the main base with 2 medivacs and siege at the top at the same time. It also really depends on the transition. I know it sounds like a cop-out answer, but Clem is supposed to go into starports and go into advanced ballistics, so he can get Vikings and also his own type of siege unit with the Liberators.
Yeah, very good angle here for Clem. Would unload a lot of his units. That might give way for the rest of his army to actually continue moving forward. But no, Clem will actually choose to retreat. This will make it a relatively easy cleanup now for MarineLorD, as the units of Clem are trapped. And yeah, I mean, that is an impossible question, Johan. So, I don't know that the players know who's going to win right now.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go for once in my life against the supply. I'm going to say that MarineLorD's going to win.
Damn. Love it. In spite of the supply, the soup does lie sometimes. Let's see what happens here, as MarineLorD seems to be ready to push out himself. Oh no, just to take his triangle 4th base. So making that defensive tank and turret line that you were suggesting, Johan, I mean, this is a good way to approach the mech matchup on a map that is easy to cover with, relatively easy to cover a few bases with mech, then close to push on forward. So it's kind of perfect for mech, because from this position, from this forward, now 4th base that MarineLorD has, you can start sieging tanks forward and have the defensive and the aggressive capacity at the same time, because it's so close by. One of the very good features for mech on this map.
Ooh, nice little Hellion setup at the top right-hand side. But Clem, look at this. He has Marauders in position. Of course, he's a Terran player, also a super high-level Terran player. He knew about that possibility, and he's going to make himself very safe against this kind of attack. I mean, if you have nothing there, maybe you just lose like 15 SCVs instantly, and then you find yourself really far behind. But yeah, there it is, by the way. Fusion core for Clem, so already thinking about the transition, advanced ballistics. But first, he had to build up his Viking count, which is actually getting attacked into. MarineLorD, of all things, is the one that moved out, so his base on the left-hand side is going to get attacked. And he has almost nothing there.
He does not. The tanks are going to have to come in and just defend the natural base. Don't want to overextend our MarineLorD. He hasn't sieged yet. That is a huge mistake. A late siege will cost him this army as well. The Thor will pop into no avail. And now MarineLorD forced to bring back his attack to try and defend a very difficult attack. A very entrenched Clem, an already sieged Clem. This is not looking too good for Alexei Eusebio.
And this is why Clem was up there, by the way. He was hoping that MarineLorD would have a single misstep of moving out at the bottom with a lot of his army, in which case there were not going to be enough at this expansion up there. And now, I mean, I got a feeling the soup won't be lying this time. It's 181 for Clem against 113 for MarineLorD, who's in a world of trouble after losing 36 SCVs. He was in such a good spot, but then he sent everything to move. Like, it just moved out, where at the moment it felt like he had no reason to.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him. I think the move out was maybe a little bit of an overcommittal as far as the number of units that he took. But even furthermore, the fact that he didn't siege those tanks to just at least protect his natural base, because sure, Clem is going to get an advantage at that point no matter what by killing your 3rd base or at least forcing a liftoff, but you don't have to take the losses from your tanks and that Thor. And that really hurts a little bit more, a little bit of extra pain. And that's a little bit too much for MarineLorD, who will tap out, and Clement will equalize the series 1-1.
I was honestly surprised he didn't even tap out at the end of this attack on the left-hand side, because that was pretty obvious he was going to be in a world of trouble. But yeah, has to come to the realization there is no way left in this game. Clem, props to him. I think he sat just barely outside of the Sensor Tower range up there, and he was just waiting for an opportunity. It was a trap, like this move out, this counter-attack potential, it was there. And the Sensor Towers, like, yes, they are good, but you can still sit outside of them and then surprise with an attack at times if the opponent's not ready. Which makes perfect sense. Like if you're MarineLorD, you don't want to leave like, 8 tanks on that left-hand side base because you're not super likely to get attacked into it. You have Sensor Tower. On paper, you're supposed to have unit there. So it was almost like a bluff, which Clem was completely ready for and actually called.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. That could have been much better for MarineLorD had he been ready. And when there is things happening on the map as well, you may not even notice the units moving through until your commander starts telling you, hey, your stuff's under attack, right? So in spite of the Sensor Tower, there was attention being allocated elsewhere. And MarineLorD does get surprised, a little bit slow to react, a little bit slow to siege to defend even his natural base. And this time around, Clem closes it out in, I wouldn't say convincing fashion. I think things were going well for MarineLorD there, but in a fell swoop, right? Like one single punch and quick KO there.
What voice spike do you use?
I used to use Alarak, now I use Wydra. Yeah. What about you?
How chill is that? You have the legend in your ears.
Wydra, it's pretty chill. I love it. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, but I know now what he's saying.
No, come on. You know all the lines. What?
No. Yeah, I mean, some of the things he says, I had to go on Reddit to find out what they were because I could actually not. And they were like, "Oh, this is what he says," and then there's a bunch of people going like, "Oh," like.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh my god. All right, we're into map number 3 here on Romanticide, starting in the top left-hand side of the map, playing as the blue Terran. It is Liquid's Clem.
And on the bottom right-hand side of Romanticide, it is MarineLorD. Allez, oui.
Well, they're both French, so. Allez, who?
Allez, hoop?
Allez, who?
Allez,
Or are you
who?
saying allez, too?
Oh, both of them.
Okay. You're a neutral guy.
I'm a
Oh,
neutral.
you're not, because you predicted MarineLorD to win, so. Wait, what score did you say?
3-2. So about as neutral as I could be. What about you?
I said 3-1. Because I had to disagree with you, and I thought there's no way it's going to be 3-0. So.
True. Very true. So we'll see.
Perhaps back to normalcy here in terms of style. I mean, there's always a chance he mechs again, but I mean, that was a bit of a fail, and it felt like, mech should still be to this day specific to maps. And that was definitely a better map for it, I thought, previously. We'll see. You never know with this guy.
Okay, what is that structure, by the way, next to the barracks? Like, what is that? I don't even know what the debris is. If we can get a zoom in, I have that right there. Yeah, what is that? Like some shrine or some. I've never actually looked at it. Pretty cool stuff.
This looks like a lounge.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
The Protoss lounge. Man.
A Protoss lounge, yeah. Okay, well.
So there you chill.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could like have units. If it was like a mini shield battery that you can just have units chill in, replenish their energy, then go.
Yeah, right. Somebody's been playing the campaign here. You think you're gonna recruit people on the map or something?
Oh, that would be cool too. You're giving good ideas. Now ESL has a lot of creative control, hopefully over what is allowed and not allowed on maps. Recruiting units out on the map. Now, Todd, that sounds amazing to me.
Thank you. I disagree, but thank you.
And what about killing units and then dropping loot, kind of like in Warcraft 3? That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he would fit in StarCraft 2.
No,
Very
for sure
different
not.
game.
Yeah,
I mean, like, what's next? You want to add heroes while you're at it, or what?
Oh my
Just
god!
Kerrigan goes in there and like kills everybody.
Yoan, you have some great ideas here.
Oh my god.
All
Right,
right.
starports starting a little bit earlier here for MarineLords. They both went for the command center on location.
Yeah, there's gonna be the Reapers and the Hellions on either side. A very defensive map on every matchup, really. The ramp is gonna make it so. So neither player wanted to overcommit, but Clem does have a force that's kind of ready for MarineLorD to overextend and chase him and punish him. He's standing way far behind in that ramp as well, so he really wants to kind of have MarineLorD go into his natural and then trap him in there. Unfortunately for Clem, MarineLorD is not out on the map at all.
see the depot in MarineLorD's main base? Is that an anti-proxy depot or what?
I think maybe even for later too. So maybe a double purpose type depot. There's a similar depot for Clem.
That's good to check. Yeah, but much later, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how many Raven? Last game we had 2 versus 3. Honestly, I feel like I only ever saw the 3 Raven player win.
This could be good for MarineLorD. He's gonna lock on to 2 of the units. Clem still looking to overwhelm. Will actually go out for one of the Cyclones and will manage to take it down. Only 1 Cyclone remaining, but it will get rid of the Hellion right away. The Reapers are gonna try to run into the main. They will be chased down. They could turn around for this Hellion. Instead, they're going after SCVs. Clem looking for some economic damage. Will only fight 2 SCVs. And the SCV confident enough to go back to building, right back to work after surviving a grenade to the face.
And the dream. Yeah, good defense actually by MarineLorD. He anticipated very well that the Reapers were going to go on the high ground here. So he sent those units as they were cleaning up the units on the low ground immediately to go there. Losing 2 SCVs, not sure that could have been prevented. Like maybe like only lost 1 or something, but good defense overall. He does find himself in a position where he's 1 worker behind currently, but he has the slightly earlier command center despite it being slowed for a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that was a favorable trade for MarineLorD. Both players now moving into the tank and Raven phase. We were trying to guess how many Ravens they're gonna make. It looks like 2 for either player for this for the time being. Clem still with the option to make 3. MarineLorD has not started a 3rd Raven if that's what he wanted. And in fact, the starport has already been swapped.
Yeah, so it's not going to be the same. I'm just stopping after 2 this time around. And yeah, on this map, I fully expect them to just play the standard composition, you know, with lots of Marines and tanks. And there it is on Raxes being added on. What is this Rax position for MarineLorD in his main base? What the hell? Is he trying to hide that he's going bio? This is sick.
Yeah, bio, or just to the extent to which he's going bio. You know what would be sick? Like, there's some hybrid builds. If he dropped another factory there in his main, and then, you know, scans that factory, then he's dead sold on mech. But yeah, this is pretty cool either way. The game is looking pretty good as MarineLorD will take his base. Clem, of course, with the same base location and already landed, but without the orbital command. So a slight advantage in terms of that for MarineLorD.
Yeah, not the most aggressive game right out the gate here necessarily. You know, just a few units back and forth have been killed. Yeah. Thanks to Clem's little attack. But yeah, they're just taking things slow for now. A scan from MarineLorD reveals the entire main base besides the double eBay. But I don't think like it's the biggest of deals, not knowing when the upgrades are coming in. He should definitely not be delaying his too much, and he's not. He's already started one as well. Yeah,
that Cyclone is mega dead, and the Hellion apparently was good friends with him, will also suicide. Now, MarineLorD is trying to do what he can to secure himself his 3rd base, as there's a Cyclone moving here to try and clear any vision. MarineLorD will spot the Marine and the Cyclone coming up. And this clears the path for Clem for later on. Clem also has 2 units on his side of the map looking for any of the same type of ram-by or just, you know, unit clearing missions from MarineLorD. Cyclone will find another Marine. Here's just the cleanup crew.
The mop-up crew.
Yeah.
MarineLorD in the game that he won, game 1, what he did much better was, I think, his composition, right? With the Vikings, he just made way more. He upgraded them earlier. So probably looking to try and do the same thing here. And it's going to be for Clem to do better than the first time around, which we'll see exactly when he adds the additional starports. It looked identical in that game for a very long time, actually. Exactly everything that they were doing, even down to like the timing on the additional starports.
Yeah, completely agree. And the number of starports, both of them added 2 starports. I think Clem was a little bit later, but at some point MarineLorD decided I'm going to commit heavier to the air, and Clem decided I'm going to commit heavier to the ground. And it was in that moment where MarineLorD was able to attain air control, get some liberators, and slowly took better and better trades. We'll see if he can replicate.
Although if Gabe is watching this and really like respecting these players a lot from what we're seeing, because I feel like both of them are playing really well, but of course he hates Gabe. probably thinks he's the best anyway, and he might very well be.
He's definitely one of the best. Actually, I was happy that Big Gabe in his interview seemed a little bit more confident than normally. Even last season, he was like, yeah, I don't know, like I want to finish top 4. Like 4th is, I feel like my place. I'm the gatekeeper. This time around, he said 3rd. I want 3rd.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah.
Next season, top 2. All right.
We'll see. I mean, he's gonna have to get past whoever wins here first.
Yeah.
And they are looking good.
Absolutely. Supplies about even. MarineLorD trailing a little bit behind. Actually, worker-wise, 68 to 81. So Clem definitely has been doing, has had a better tempo with SCV production. And we actually see a decently earlier 4th base, for which he's already taking the double refinery on. So Clem starting to pull ahead in this fairly passive game. And adding the 2nd factory in the main base now.
Yeah, MarineLorD's advantages, I can't really see them. But it's a pretty minimal advantage anyway for Clem. MarineLorD does have less SCVs, which is not an advantage to list. But it does speak to his larger army. I mean, last time he was able to trade efficiently, in part due to having a larger army too. Just all the time.
Yeah. He has more medivacs.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Right now. Yeah. I had to dig deep. I found one.
Yeah.
Everything else is behind. This one is ahead.
All right. Let's hope for MarineLorD to make a good use of his medevacs, as Clem is gonna move south with his 2 medevacs as well as a bioforce. Is there a tank siege for MarineLorD? Clem is gonna continue moving on forward in spite of there being 2 tanks. He's just gonna clean up a turret and force MarineLorD actually to reposition a lot of his army, but Clem this time around doesn't have a counter poke ready at the front.
Yeah, I love the upgrades on both sides finishing at the same time. We could have a very passive game here, even like going further as they're both adding so many command centers. Look at this.
Yeah.
4 more command centers for MarineLorD right now being added, 3 for Clem.
Oh wow, Clem with beautiful splits. Loses minimal units to 2 tanks already siege. Now he's gonna get cleaned up by a greater number of Marines. On the other side, Clem tried to poke, but was unable to do much. These Marines might have to stim on the side of Clem to run away, and they will. And yeah, one thing that caught my eye there, Johan, the number of starports for MarineLorD in production, there was just 4. That means he has now 5, I believe, at least. So a very fast air transition for MarineLorD, who is lagging in supply because he invested so much into infrastructure as well.
Yeah, they're all in the main base here. Ovid reactor starts on the other side. Gonna be 2 tech labs. Actually, he was gonna do 2 reactors, but then changed his mind. So it's gonna be 3 tech labs and 1 reactor on these additional starports. MarineLorD has a recurring mistake, by the way, which Clem has really picked up on. He thinks he's overly safe on his 3rd base usually when he has a sensor tower, because who would ever attack into a sensor tower, right? There's always tanks. Clem, knowing that and being a Terran player himself, he's always like, okay, I know you have a tendency not to leave enough units, so I'm going to keep on attacking. And he has done that so many times already this series, and it's worked out so many times, just like the last time just now when he attacked. There was only 2 tanks, and he just rushed them and then found a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, and I mean, to Clem's credit as well, just pre-splitting his army beautifully and taking minimal losses against those 2 tanks. But I'm completely with you. I mean, even a bunker and a couple of Marines left in it, or an extra tank perhaps, just thinking, hey, this is Clem. Maybe a little bit of extra respect would come in handy.
Ovid reactor on the way on the other side now as well for MarineLorD. And he's trailing quite a bit behind on the Viking count this game. But 14 against the 21 of Clem. And he's just way behind overall in supply here. He's got less SCVs as well, so his bank is going to build up a little bit slower. Clem starting to feel confident, being very close to maxing out. He's going to start moving out here. And he's looking for damage.
Let's see if he can find that the air again, I think, belongs to MarineLorD, but one of his Ravens will get just plucked from the air. Now Clem looking for an angle here. MarineLorD will scan what he's up to and will be able to reposition at least a couple of his tanks to prevent Clem from taking too annoying of a position. Clem is forced to retreat for the time being. Yes, Clem does have the upgrade or the advantage as far as supply. He does have the advantage as far as economy is concerned for the time being. But MarineLorD will be catching up. And once we are all caught up, once we're all maxed out, it'll start coming down to those big engagements. And we saw those go greatly in favor of MarineLorD in game 1, a very similar setup to that game.
It's kind of weird. Like, they both got a bunch of barracks, and they both are getting 3-3 upgrades for Marines. But get this. There's 6 Marines for Clem, and 1 for MarineLorD. So they're barely making any Marines here. It's like a fallback plan almost, where, yes, they got these upgrades, but they're mostly relying on an entirely mech army here with Vikings, tanks, and Ravens fighting one another. Ooh, that entire armor is really juicy here. MarineLorD going for the chase, as these Vikings are all orange. He turns around as to not overextend.
And on the south, there's also a little bit of a push. The Raven and the landed Vikings will be enough to contend with these tanks, as there is, like you were pointing out, no real Marine support here from either player. MarineLorD is making a couple of Marines here and there. Clem mostly focusing just on the air, and out of a bio game, we have transitioned mostly into a mech-ish type game with mostly air units. Is that fair to call mech air terran, I guess, more accurately?
Mech works. They're mechanical units. That's what mech stands for.
That is true. That is true.
Clem was just making, was that 11 Vikings at the time? That is a lot of Vikings being made out of 6 starports. Keeping them back at home. Ship weapons level 1 now finally kicking in is a little bit behind in that. There's already been +2. So that's the one thing where Clem has been a little slow here with his with the upgrades. Yamato gun starting. Yes.
What?
We're gonna get that game, man.
All right, Johan, that is exciting. Yamato gun. I mean, with this many
Yamato
Vikings,
cannon.
are battle cruisers even good? Yeah, but it's a gun.
Yeah. It could be. I think if you like synergize that really well, like as long as you don't YOLO in, I think that can be the end game also. Like, you know, I mentioned it earlier. I've seen this type of games before being played and it coming in really handy. The question is, like, what's the exact composition that you go for exactly? How many do you want to make? You need to get it perfectly right. And we see 2 of them starting here in the first place.
Very interesting. All right, these tanks for Clem are going to get wiped out off the face of the earth. I'm not sure how much the players care about their tanks. Obviously, they care a little bit at least. They are the units that are eventually going to push forward for them. But the more important fight is being fought up in the air. Dorito cannons on either side here of this engagement. And now it does seem like Clem has air superiority. Also with the tank line that he has in the back. The defense, the auto defenders of MarineLorD are not going to be particularly effective. Clem trying to push forward with real turrets. Durable turrets.
Clem has 30 Vikings right now. This is ridiculous. He has less tanks. He has only 6 against 12, but 30 Vikings against 11. Like, safe to say, air control is completely secured, even though there's the Ravens he needs to worry about. And that's why he's trying to siege so hard. I think he fully understands that he's way ahead in that. Tanks gonna get flanked by the auto turrets here at the north. At the same time, at the bottom, 3 tanks are about to attack into that third base, completely left open, as the Sensor Tower was killed in the last attack. And I think he might have seen it go past here.
Yeah, but battle cruisers are gonna be here. Battle cruisers have arrived. I'm not sure what difference they're gonna make in the fight, to be honest, with that many Vikings. Is there a world where maybe you even teleport on top of the Vikings just to soak up a lot of shots or kill them?
No.
No way, right? Like, I mean, while the Viking fight is happening, right? Because the Vikings might all focus fire the battle cruiser. If they don't, then it's gonna soak up a lot of basically like a flying tank.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
It's about Yamato. Like, you really want to land some big Yamato and like get some of these Vikings out of there. Look at this. Clem saw the movement of the battle cruisers and he knew they were gonna head to that location. So he already set up a lot of Vikings. He uses interference matrix, but they get out just on time. Ooh, that was close. The fact that they actually got out here, very good for MarineLords, because that was some great movement by Clem. And MarineLords trying to catch up on the Viking count now, and also adding 2 more battle cruisers. As Clem is getting his first 3. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's Clem this time around with the Liberators as well, which is going to help him a great deal in these air skirmishes to zone out the tanks and potentially even use his defensive auto turrets aggressively. MarineLorD really trailing back on this front. Clem adding his own battle cruisers like you mentioned. This is going to be nasty, Johan. I have no idea what's going to happen here, but it certainly seems like Clem has had the air control. He has to be feeling pretty good about this.
I can tell you what's going to happen. We're going to hear pew, 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 pew. And a lot of units are going to die very quickly when that happens.
I'm looking forward to it.
I like Clem's like outpost, you know, towards the top right, because this really allows him to keep leapfrogging forward slowly. But as long as he can keep on finding damage with this, it's always going to be great for him. He's the one who's not only maxed out right now, but he's got quite a bit of a bank. He's ahead in workers, and he still found a way to do a lot of damage or trade better the whole game, really.
You're completely right about that. I mean, just ever so barely, the resources lost is pretty similar here, but given that Clem has mined more, he has made more happen with less. And that doesn't bode well for MarineLorD, because the snowball might be happening in Clem's favor right now, who is collapsing onto MarineLorD's army now with those battle cruisers as well. Let's see if they can get taken down. They are very expensive units. MarineLorD with his own battle cruisers and those Yamatos, pew, 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 as you were saying, Todd, will take a few of the Vikings of Clem, and with the Dorito cannon effective as well, Clem doesn't feel like this is a fight that he wants to take right now.
Yeah, MarineLorD might be chasing a little far here, but I think that's because there's anti-armor missiles still active on those units. He's trying to trade as well as he can, and his supply plummeted in that fight. He actually lost so much.
Yeah.
The map is split 50-50, by the way, exactly 50-50.
The map?
Yeah, the map. Like, they took the exact same bases on each side, both of them.
Yeah, definitely. Clem does have a few more areas that he controls, though none that he can mine. He also has a few of those sensor towers that are leaping forward. Like you said, that outpost that you were mentioning up north here is very difficult, I think, to breach for MarineLorD, who is now transitioning into Thors. A very interesting choice.
Yeah, I think he might try and get a little more mobile. Ooh, he forgot a battle cruiser, actually, on the right-hand side of one of his expansions. Definitely needs to figure that out. You don't want to leave that big guy over there the whole game. But he might try to be mobile here eventually. If the opponent has tanks spread out everywhere across the map, you can use that to your advantage by just bringing everything you've got to one single location. And Clem's actually done a much better job of that. Like, Clem has almost no tanks spread out on the map, being like in different defending positions. All the tanks that he has there in the top right are helping out here with the siege of his army.
Okay, 4 Yamato guns are going to be spent from the side of Clem right now. A big Dorito cannon on either side, and the battle cruisers are actually helping to tank a lot of this fire from the Vikings, which will allow Clem, with more Vikings, to potentially push on forth. But he's actually playing it pretty conservatively in spite of a huge supply lead in his favor. Now the Thors are going to have something to say about this all, as they are now arriving into the fight. I wonder what mode you want the Thors on here, Johan, because it's definitely a juggling game, right? Like, if there is not enough Vikings, you obviously want the normal or the extra range mode for the Thor. But otherwise, I think you just want him in splash mode, right? Like, because if there is yeah, that was a nice save. Because if there's enough Vikings, the more Viking mass, the better splash becomes.
Yeah, it's so tricky. You need to get it like perfectly right. Not just that, but like, how much Vikings does the opponent have? How many do you have? Do you still have Ravens that can like actually be useful? Anti-armor missile going to be super important here.
True. Yeah, against the beasties and growing numbers of beasties, you also probably want the range over the splash. Or the single power cannon. I'm not even sure what it's called. Here we have a lot of engagement as the battle cruisers now of MarineLorD are going to show up, but Clem prompt to just teleport a little bit behind and save his own battle cruisers.
Clem still has way more Vikings here, 31 against 22, so that's the main thing. He's still winning the air battle. He has more battle cruisers, 7 against 4. It's just 1 Raven against 1. The one thing that MarineLorD has going for him is that he has 2 Thors, but I don't know that they can make up so much for the disadvantage with all the other numbers.
Yeah. I think if they could imagine a Thor shot right there. Poof. It would hurt a lot, right? Like, there's so many Vikings clumped up that could really make a difference, perhaps, for MarineLorD, who's gonna have to react now to these battle cruisers.
Sending back all the Vikings. Oh my god, the Vikings are gonna intercept one another in the center here. Oh. That's what Clem was counting on. I think he anticipated that from MarineLorD, and because he's got more, he's gonna get better trades. He's also got more battle cruisers. For some reason, he's trying to exit this area. I think a lot of his beasties perhaps didn't have Yamato cannon, but he wasn't getting the base trades.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I'm not quite sure how Clem has more of everything. I guess MarineLorD is just down in supply at this point. But near the start of that fight, he was nearly maxed 180-ish supply. Now the Thors are going to get here a little bit slowly. So Clem did a really good job of avoiding those for the most part. And now Clem with a pretty sizable lead, I would say, in this game.
Yeah. I mean, look at the upgrades. That's the one thing that MarineLorD has always been ahead in this whole series for the most part, but Clem's doing everything better, it feels like. The way he mixes in units, the way he sieges all the time, and kind of suffocates MarineLorD on his side of the map. Clem did have more SCVs for the entire game, so that means he should mine out all of the mineral patches and gas that he has quicker. Well, probably just minerals, because gases probably have the same saturation. MarineLorD should play a little slower. I think if he can also max out here and have more army supply, he's going to be able to do fine.
That would definitely be helpful. And I mean, we are seeing Clem adapt. We are seeing a different Clem than we saw in the first game. Clem that transitioned much faster and is kind of beating MarineLorD at his own game. So all boxes checked there.
Ooh, big Yamato here. He sent 2 BCs to the bottom left to MarineLorD. He keeps doing this and then barely getting out on time. Ooh, turret. Not like this. He's just gonna get out very safely because he knows there's the potential for Clem to be headed down there for the clear. He's trying to catch the... Oh, this is such great moves from both players. They're anticipating what the opponent is gonna do with their Vikings so well every time there is a fight in bottom left.
Yeah. They are looking for those intercepts constantly. The Thors are trying to move and keep up with the Vikings of MarineLorD as best as they can. They are gonna kill some turrets. They've already taken down a couple of tanks, so those Thors have proved useful. The problem is they are easy to outposition, and that's constantly what Clem is also looking for. Let's see what the numbers say here. 37 Vikings actually for MarineLorD, so he has the lead in that regard. However, he is lagging behind 7 battle cruisers.
Oh, there is 38 for Clem actually, which is absurd. Like this whole game is made so many Vikings.
Yeah, that was the next
We might
round.
not have gotten the new Top Gun movie yet, but this is actually better, man.
Yeah, so Clem still producing a lot of Vikings. Like you're alluding to, MarineLorD does have more Ravens, but at this point, I think anti-armor missile is the main thing that he wants to use from them.
Clem is making himself at home. He's starting turrets here. Finally, the big fight begins. That might be the game decider here. Interference Matrix used on some of these battle cruisers. The Thor's actually putting in work here, and Clem trying to evacuate. He's not taking the fight head on.
Yeah, I'd love to see how much damage the Thors are outputting, who did more damage in that fight and whatnot, because that was pretty crazy. I thought that Clem was just gonna take it, but then the 2 Thors show up, and they kind of deter him from moving on forward, from pushing on forward. So let's see. I think that MarineLorD can take this engagement right now. The army of Clem is a little bit weaker, even if the numbers are very similar right now, and they are.
Yeah, the Thors have 3-3, so they definitely hurt quite a bit. And the unit stab looks pretty funny, actually. Clem has 58 SCVs, 28 Vikings, 3 BCs. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah, interestingly enough, MarineLorD, who has had the less economy to work with all game long, is the first one to start sacrificing workers as well. These battle cruisers are just, they love the punishment.
MarineLorD at some point was 3,000 behind in resources lost, so he had lost, 3,000 more. Now, it's 2,000 ahead, so he's definitely traded extremely well in the last few fights. And that's because of his patience. Like, yes, Clem is trying to be aggressive, but he's definitely overextending sometimes when he, steps above a bunch of turrets, just like he's about to do at this base down there yet again.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is, we were saying things are looking up for Clem a little bit ago. Now it's a much more even game. You pointed out in previous games, Johan, how important it is that we take a look at those resources lost tab often enough when the map is completely split, because once it's all mined out, that is exactly what it's going to come down to. Who traded better?
A nice little Yamato down there. They make those turrets burn. They burn, of course, very shortly, or burn down after Yamato is used on them. So unless you have SCVs already in position. MarineLorD moves in there. What's that?
Gee.
I don't know if that was unintentional, but he got very close to this army here. Meanwhile, he has tanks and battle cruisers at the top sieging on their own.
Yeah, that was pretty sketchy there from MarineLorD, who is gonna have to remake a few of those units that he has lost for free. Now the Battlecruisers are doing what they can here at the top of the map. They will actually find an exposed base. Not sure about taking the PF.
We'll be back.
Yeah, even if he took down the PF though, that CC would just fly right there right away, and it's not like they're making enough ground units to really threaten that location anyway, right? Like, so I don't know that he would have gained much by that. I would have much rather seen him actually just keep the Yamato.
MarineLorD is ahead in army supply here for at a very important timing. Oh my god, they're gonna go for the head-on fight here. Anti-armor missile lands, and it's an absolute slugfest here.
It really is. Good auto defense turrets as well from MarineLorD. Both players are dropping in supply quickly. Clem seems to have the advantage for the time being. A little bit of kiting here from MarineLorD, and he has the greater Viking numbers. Clem actually forced to retreat with the battle cruisers. Let's see if MarineLorD can find an angle here where Clem turns a corner and his Vikings land another shot, because those will be a couple of extra Vikings killed on his side. Now with the battle cruisers coming back into the fight, Clem is going to feel confident enough to turn around and push MarineLorD away yet again.
In the bottom left, 2 tanks showed up. They didn't even siege, just killed the refinery. They turn around, Clem restarts the refinery, and MarineLorD is like, am I a joke to you? Moves back down there, and as 2 BCs are about to show up, he's gonna have to pull back, but he might end up catching them. Oh my god, they use tactical jump to get down there. Okay, I don't think he can dive into that many turrets. MarineLorD hasn't attacked the whole game. He literally hasn't been on the other side of the map, except like for the few units that he has sent down there, and he's just Clem attacking into him all the time and losing a lot of units. But Clem is still ahead in army supply right now.
Yeah, he definitely is. This was the story of the game that MarineLorD won as well, right? Like, just better trades throughout the game. He really didn't attack until it was time to attack. This game already at 31 minutes. We've had 2 long ones. This one's looking to extend even further than the first, which was an absolute banger. Johan, we have a very evenly matched TVT series. It's as exciting as it gets. MarineLorD is playing a hell of a game to keep up with Clem.
They're mixing in Marines now again, by the way. Look at the production tab. 10 and 10 being made on each side. So I guess they remembered that all these upgrades on these guys. And because the opponents are like so Viking heavy with a bunch of BCs, if you can mix in some Marines here, they're going to do a lot of damage to that with their upgrades. But I think they're forgetting to mix in medivacs. Neither player is getting medivacs. It's just...
Yeah, but look at the gas
count, Marine and
right?
Vikings?
Yeah, the problem is the gas count, I think. So that's, I think, why they're having to drop some... units that are less than perfect for their army compositions in the Marines. They are gonna help, but medevacs, I mean, I think they'd rather make more Vikings if they have the gas to spare. Both players now with a relatively low gas count. They both have to be careful. MarineLorD still not maxed. He would love to be maxed.
Almost all the gas on the map is gone. Clem has 2 refineries in bottom left, that's it. And MarineLorD has like 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top, that's it. So they got about the same. I guess it makes sense here to start spamming Marines, but yeah, it's Clem who has the bigger bank behind this.
Yeah, for sure. Marines are going to be particularly effective as well with the lack of tanks on either side. So Clem with this swarm of Marines on the ground, it doesn't bode too well for MarineLorD, who's going to identify this and actually start a tank right away. So utilizing a lot of his gas remaining to say, okay, that's too many Marines. I need a couple tanks here. Clem cannot do the same. So if MarineLorD can find a way to fight with those tanks against the army of Clem, that could be advantage to him. But right now, and before those tanks pop up, I like the army of Clem.
Yeah, because those tank and Thors have +3 attack on the MarineLorD side. On the other side, we have 0 Thor, 0 tanks. It's just pure Marine Viking battle cruiser. This game is wild. It's like 154 army supply for MarineLorD, 146 for Clem now. And even though they don't have much gas left, they're both mixing in Ravens still because they want to land that picture-perfect anti-armor missile, which could win them the fight.
That is a very interesting choice indeed. I mean, they are so expensive, the Raven, gas-wise. And that is the unit that they're going to choose to allocate the last bit of resources that they have. The last bit of the green, Johan, is going to go to the Ravens.
So little gas left. Clem, it's just the 2 refineries at the bottom. How much do they have? 366, 362. So slightly over 700. MarineLorD is the one at the top.
Oh, lovely move there.
That's it, actually. Wow. MarineLorD is even more depleted. He literally has like what? Less than 200 gas.
And Clem's like, no, not my refineries. Gonna repair with everything that he has there. Doesn't want those refineries to fall. I've never seen such an emphasis on refiners, but I mean, those refiners being taken down right now means no gas income for a little while. So I completely understand why Clem is so concerned about those. Hey, hello, MarineLorD.
Oh, he's not reacting, or at least a little slowly. And he knows that Clem, look at this. He knows that Clem is going to use that opportunity to get on top of this base on the top right-hand side, which actually, like, the gas is almost gone. 74 left. They might be about to clash. If these armies expire, they literally will only be able to produce Marines until they max out again. This is ridiculous.
That would be so cool. I mean, they both have such insane banks. I just want them to kill each other's armies perfectly and then just have a Marine versus Marine.
A Marine ranch.
Yeah, that would be awesome. The only problem is whoever attacks into the other player's planetary fortress loses the game. So if that happens, it could be a tie.
Just don't oversteam. It would be a pretty bad thing to do with no medivac.
Yeah, can't afford a medevac. Don't stim, please.
Neither player has a single medivac. This is ridiculous. It's 35 Marines to 44, 33 Vikings to 39, and 2 Ravens against 3. And those 4 Tors, I mean, they might come in really handy, but we have more battle cruisers in particular. Well, actually, there's no beasties left.
Can you imagine a world where saving 100 gas for a medevac could actually win you a game over time? Because the medevac will gain energy, so you could stim, you know, if you have the ability to stim and then just pull back, it doesn't matter how long you wait.
Can you imagine how good those Marines must feel under it? They're like, I'm the chosen one.
But it's like one healed at a time. It runs out of energy after healing like 10% of your army, then you gotta wait another while.
He's sieging the refinery at the bottom. There's no more gas, that's it. He's like, all right, kill it, I don't care.
Don't stim! Man, this, I guess dying is worse than stimming.
28 SCVs for MarineLorD, 31 for Clem. This is the wildest game I've seen in a while. Okay, Clem's gonna spend these SCVs to actually get out of the game so he can replace that with actual proper supply.
Look at the resources lost tab, Yuan. This game is dead even. MarineLorD does have a slightly bigger bank because he was a little bit slower to mine. And he was a little bit slower to mine out his gas. Now spending all of his gas in 3 Vikings. This is reckless.
Yeah, the thing, he has to worry also about the battle cruisers, which are very tanky. Oh, he gets a volley from far away. And again, Clem might be engaging into MarineLorD on the other side of the map.
Oh, MarineLorD actually on the chase. He's gonna stim a lot of his Marines. Where are the tanks here? I thought there were 2 tanks somewhere.
They're gonna steam twice with no medivacs.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's gonna mean that he has to engage right now. It's a huge fight. The Thors are too slow to partake here. It looks like MarineLorD is falling here in supply as there's more Marines left over on the side of Clem. Where are those tanks, Johan? There they are. Too late.
They're chilling behind, all sieged up, ready to fight, but the army just went on their own. And MarineLorD, this was a really bad chase here. The Marines were way too far ahead. Clem realized he just turned around and wrecked everything that there was. The Vikings, though, on the other side, they also endured. Look at this, Clem. All of his Vikings are like mid to low hit points. This is a ridiculous game.
It's a ridiculous game. And MarineLorD is not out of it as long as he can max out on Marines. Those 2 tanks are actually pretty freaking key. I can't believe that MarineLorD would be willing to engage without those 2 tanks, as crazy as it seems. Yeah. When there is this many Marines and they're overstimming and there's no medevacs whatsoever, those 2 tanks would have so many kills right now.
MarineLorD should definitely take it easy here for a while and just wait until he spent all of his minerals.
Yeah.
Look, click on the barracks. He has like 7 Marines queued in each of them. This is insane. And he still has a bank. That's the crazy part.
Of course he has a bank. They both have only minerals. And it really comes down to the next deciding engagement. MarineLorD has to basically just sit by his tanks until he's remaxed and then try again, but with his tanks. That's mine! Oh my god, this game is crazy. Yeah, the SCVs are looking for those minerals like it's some I mean, it's just the last bit remaining, right? There's just pretty much nothing out on the map. This is exactly what you asked for, Todd. As the series began, you wanted this game.
Ask and you shall receive. That's sometimes the way it goes. 186 army supply for Clem. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get to. Actually, he could go to 200 if he killed his own SCVs. I don't think. Bro, there's 2 patches left. Come on, get rid of some of them.
Yeah. MarineLorD is already using his mules. I mean, yeah, I'm completely with you. I think they should both kill their workers. It's all gonna be decided on one fight. Clem will have a little bit more of a bank.
MarineLorD's making a medivac. He's making a medivac, the chosen one.
Oh my god. That medivac, Johan, could win the game given enough time. But do you hide the medivac at this point?
No. Like, I mean, no. Keep it with the army. He has enough, like, in the air to tank. And there's only one BC left. On the other side, it feels like it's Clem who really needs a medivac because look at his Marines. A lot of them are already damaged. They're not going to replenish those hit points there.
Absolutely. What I would love to see is one player bait a huge stim from another player while not stimming. Like just stim, like half, like not even half, like 1/3 of your army and hope that the other player thinks that you stimmed your whole army. Then they stim their whole army, then you just back. That's a huge win because all we have is Marines, no medivacs. These tanks are going to be huge. I'm not sure if out in the open is the way to go. And here we go, Johan! It's the big fight! It's Marines on Marines, it's Vikings on Vikings. There's more Vikings for MarineLorD. The 2 tanks putting in work. MarineLorD is doing it. He's actually pushing Clem back. 56 supply for Clem, 126 for MarineLorD. Clem is struggling to try and produce whatever he can, and whatever he can is just Marines. Do not go near the planetary fortress, please. All right. Jesus.
Yeah, those tanks in position now. There's absolutely nothing that Clem can do about it unless he tries to get on top of them, but there's enough Marines. A gigantic supply lead for MarineLorD who defended the entire game. I think that was really the key here for him. Clem not patient enough to just sit it out, just kept attacking. At first he was cost effective, but as soon as he started not being anymore, MarineLorD just wore him down. And now those 2 tanks, they're the kings of the jungle.
He has done it. I mean, at this point, focusing the factories and the starport is the wrong call. The barracks are the valuable structures to actually focus. I don't know if I've ever seen or said anything like that before. But yeah, please, Vikings, focus the barracks, ignore the starports and the factories. They are completely worthless. MarineLorD maybe thinks otherwise. But yeah, most of the barracks will go down.
Yeah, Clem must be, I don't know, taking some time about what happened. I can't think that he realistically believed he would win this, but he's still got a bank. Maybe he's not sure how much of a bank MarineLorD has, so he thinks if MarineLorD doesn't have any more minerals, he might be stuck on like 120 supply, and then Clem can rebuild to that supply count and then fight him. Because he does have a lot of minerals still. Like he just made a lot of barracks in the bottom left, and he's trying to remax on more Marines. Yeah. Dude, that one medivac, that one's working overtime.
Yeah, every time he has energy, everyone's like, give me. Medivac's like, fine, here.
Like you got like 50 Genjis in your army. I need healing. I need healing.
But yeah, I mean, MarineLorD has done it pretty much, Johan. There is nothing that Clem can do. Clem doesn't necessarily know it, but he is, I think pretty dead here. The tanks only have, and I say only because there was more potential, only have 39 kills between them. Which it seems like it should have been more, right? Yeah, but 39 is a lot of kills. And that is, of course, not counting for all the splash damage, all the weakening of those units that they did. I think they were the MVP. They almost lost MarineLorD the game by not being in a fight. So the tank drivers, I don't know if you give them an award after this game or not.
Silver
Star. But it will be another macro game in favor of MarineLorD. A crazy game for a crazy series that we are all tied up in now, Johan. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was very passive by MarineLorD, but I can't fault him. It's just Clem putting so much pressure on him. So the right move is, of course, to stay on your side of the map and just kind of defend. I think it's more on Clem to maybe make the adjustments here and say, okay, well, this guy just never want to attack. I should stop attacking into him because eventually this is going to stop being cost effective. And as soon as that happened, he had no gas left and he couldn't do anything anymore. We're going to head to a break to give these players a minute to rest after that very exhausting game. I'm sure it was for them. And then we'll be back with the conclusion of this series. See you guys right after this.
We are back, and everyone is awaiting the conclusion of this series. I am Katz, joined by Todd. This has been amazing. I am hyped. My throat might give in, Johan. I am so ready for this last game.
What do you mean last game?
Last game, right? It's 2-2, isn't it?
It's 2-1, bro. No?
2-1 for MarineLorD? Oh my god. Jeez, that felt like...
We're going to get another one of these bangers and then one more after that.
Oh my god, well, I'm going to take off my bow tie then because there's just no way.
Next level.
Oh my god. Now let's all root for Clem. Everyone put your energy towards the young Frenchman. As this series can only be resolved in 5 games, it's only fair.
Yeah, I mean, Clem definitely needs to make some adjustments here. Like, he played beautifully, in my opinion. It's just that he was being overly aggressive against somebody that was only waiting for him to attack. It almost reminded me, okay, that's probably going to sound extreme, but remember once upon a time, the Swarm host, and then the Zergs that would just take their half of the map, let you attack, lose resources, wear you down, and then eventually they would just like win in the very late game because you had thrown away so many resources at them. It was in a way similar to that, in that they split the map, and at first Clem was trading well up until the point he wasn't, and once he got behind on resources lost, he's like, the resources that he was losing was also like very gas heavy. He could never really recover after that. So very well done by MarineLorD. That was the one way he could win this game because he just felt like he was slightly behind the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, the little decisions I will put for MarineLorD as far as like what units he chose as well. Like, I feel like those tanks put in great work. The Thors did good for him. And that medevac, well, it didn't do, that much.
You're still on about that medevac.
I love it, Johan. I told you, like, I hope that the one player makes one medevac, like it maybe didn't get like all the value that it could have gotten over time, but it was a brilliant maneuver, no less, I thought. Either way, we are loaded into this game. Clem looks a little bit tired, actually, a little bit dejected after that game. That is not the face I want to see from the young one. Spawning in the top right-hand side. Send them your energy for Team Liquid. It's Clem.
His opponent in the red, also Terran, also from France, play for Team Coca Authentique Pipit. It's MarineLorD.
What does Pipit mean?
Nugget.
Ooh.
I don't know, these guys are full of like insider jokes and memes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And we got another proxy here from MarineLorD, this time not inside of the base of his opponent, but at on the north side.
Yes, indeed. Oh my god, I'm shaking. Like, when that game was loading, Johan, I put my mouse on the keyboard or my hands on the mouse and keyboard like I was about to play, So I can only imagine how these players feel.
Yeah, they must be pretty hyped. I mean, it would be very easy for Clem to also be upset after a game like this because, it felt like he was the one kind of in a driver's seat, but every one of his attacks was defended. It's like almost like, you ever played ping pong and then you're just doing such a good job attacking, and then whatever you throw at your opponent, they're just bouncing the ball in a very passive way back to your side of the ping pong table. And then eventually you make a mistake and the ball goes out and you're like, this is not fair. Like, I was doing better the whole time. You just were barely surviving. That's the nature of the game, though.
Yeah, it feels like Clem spent more energy on that game than MarineLorD did, right? But MarineLorD was smart where he spent his energy, and it ended up paying off. Now Clem did he miss it?
He saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't react immediately, but he knows. He might not have revealed that he saw it because MarineLorD's not moving out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no concussive shells. It's just he's getting Marauders for now on this side while getting Marines on the other sides. And Clem's setting up. Oh my god, look at this on the ramp. Triple SCV, double Reaper. Surprised he's not starting a bunker, but I think maybe with the units from the factory, it's just going to be enough anyway.
Yeah, I think the SCVs will do a great job of soaking up damage here. MarineLorD with his own SCV to spot up the ramp. Clem completely ready for this. Will kill both Marauders at little cost. Just one Reaper and one Marine have fallen. MarineLorD looking for a second Reaper. Now turning to just damage that Hellion, as it's the best thing that he can do. The next Marauder is out and it won't find much more damage. So big advantage to Clem here off of openers.
And Marine will come out at the right time as well to enter the bunker here and help cover that location. factory on the way behind this. I wonder if we're going to see the same type of game in that last game. They were skipping on Marines a lot, which is so weird, right? Because you're not getting upgrades. I was like, why are they even getting upgrades for Marines if they're not going to make any? But then at the end of the game, I was like, I
don't know if they said that far ahead, Todd.
I don't know if they did.
Yeah, that would be crazy. I mean, if they did, we might have to ask Herwitz in the interview, because if they planned that far ahead, I mean, that would be...
That's too many steps ahead.
Yeah.
MarineLorD is like, yeah, no, I knew he was going to use all his gas, but then I got enough for a medivac.
That map was destined to mine out, yeah.
Those 2 tanks in that medivac, they were like kings of the world.
Yeah. They really, really were. Enough so that MarineLorD even chose to attack into a disadvantageous position with the lesser concave, right? So lots of confidence displayed there. Now his barracks is going to fall here. And again, advantage Clem. A Clem that is one of the best players in the world at snowballing advantages. He will keep up that pressure. And, you know, if you're lacking a few units compared to normal, then that little pressure is maybe all that it takes. So let's see if this little poke has the potential to even end the game. I don't think it's completely unlikely. Let's see what MarineLorD has on his side of the map. Not nearly enough mobility to keep up with this, though the tank in a good position can have a heavy say on what happens here.
Yeah, it's all about being able to set up the siege somewhere. I don't know how to see where that would be right now. Oh, I think he's counting on the tank of MarineLorD to be on the high ground. Okay, maybe he didn't have that much foresight because he took a lot of bad shots there. Maybe he could have gone deeper if he moved safely. Like, he could have scouted with a medivac. But yeah, Viking now shows up, which is going to make Clem's life very difficult. And he might just head back home.
Yeah, he might have to. So a nice stabilizing from MarineLorD does pick off the Cyclone right away. That is an important piece for Clem's attack. And now MarineLorD is just going to secure his expansion. He's going to still be trailing 5 workers, so a slight disadvantage. But we've seen this type of disadvantage play out in previous games, and still MarineLorD be able to recover. So nothing is set in stone yet.
The tank counts is something that they're going to both be building up consistently. The question is who commits a little more on the Vikings. Last game, that was Clem, who was doing a fantastic job with that. One thing that he's been doing worse, though, is the upgrades. He's always been trailing behind, whether it was on the Marines or on the mech units, whether it was the air or the ground ones. He never actually completed +3 vehicle weapons either. That's something that only MarineLorD had, which I guess Clem, to adjust for that, never really made any more Thor or tanks later on.
Yeah, we'll see what type of adjustments the players have to make this time around. The tank count, like you said, is essential here. Clem will have a much faster third and already landed, whereas MarineLorD cannot land his third yet. Now, positional play around this third with the tanks that you're mentioning, Johan, is so important. It's kind of easy to outmaneuver because there is so much space around this third. So, you know, you have to cover every angle. Otherwise, the tanks can just find a little spot to siege, and then you'll have to spend your Raven energy. And MarineLorD doesn't have too much of that. Just the 1 Raven out right now, I believe. Yeah, that's correct. Whereas Clem has 2 Ravens, one with more energy than MarineLorD's Raven has. So,
he went for the same 2 racks in the main base. Wouldn't he end up getting stuck here with some units? Maybe, but there might be enough space on the left-hand side barracks. It's kind of, I don't know, I wonder, like, where is this from? You know, like, did he block himself at some point? Did he struggle against Doom drops? And he was like, all right, I'm just going to make those racks out of the way now going forward. I guess he's also saving space for the future infrastructure that he's going to build in later on in his base, which might be, like, needed to be a little bit more central.
Yeah, I think it's partly that. It's partly concealing information. Now the Cyclone is going to have a say about this medevac. Will be able to take it down, but might lose its life in the process. No, the Cyclone will survive. However, this Marines also survive from Clem, who's still posturing at the front. This is a lot of units to bring back from MarineLorD. So Clem's going to say, now it's go time. Drops a lot of those turrets to try and position himself a little bit better. The tanks now of Clem in range of the tanks of MarineLorD. And this is looking like a very difficult position to break.
Yeah, especially those Marines on the left-hand side here. MarineLorD cannot reinforce. The tank siege line here would protect those Marines. If Clem was to move that in there, he would kill a lot of those SCVs. Finally, he's getting in position. Clem, we thought he was over-aggressive last game maybe, but he's not slowing down at all here in this next one.
Yeah, doesn't siege all his tanks at once, so perhaps MarineLorD thought that he had an opening there, but unfortunately for him, he is unable to clear this up. And now it's a massive advantage for the youngling.
Yeah, the supply here. Quite a bit ahead for Clem, 131 against 85. MarineLorD even anticipated this movement. As soon as the drop happened in the main base, what did he do? He scanned in the center of the map to see the movement of Clem's army. He saw that he was moving left, but by the time he started reacting, it was already too late because he had to unsiege, start running there, get in a good position, and then siege again. And Clem's used the map overlays so well. As soon as he's like siege next to those rocks, he knew that he could cut off reinforcements. And again, doing the same thing on the right-hand side. And he go for the tank. Yes, he gets another one.
And another one. And all of the tanks of MarineLorD seem destined to fall, though the medevacs will provide enough vision for just a little bit longer so that MarineLorD can kill one of those tanks of Clem, now utilizing one of the scans, which is going to buy him some time. I didn't think that was in range. Apparently it is. Okay.
The upgrades for the first time, I feel like this series are going to start earlier for Clem, and that's because he's in such a beautiful position now. Already has the second factory in the main base. He starts the 2-2. Slightly ahead on the combat shields as well. And we already know what's to come from there. He's just going to keep up with the pressure, try and find some solid and safe damage. And for MarineLorD, I know we were impressed with his defense last game. He's going to have to be even better this time.
Much better. I mean, he's trailing already nearly 40 supply at this stage in the game. That is a very dangerous position to be in. This Marine will snipe a Viking and would have gone home a hero, but instead it will get taken down. This tank will not die a hero as it didn't fire a single shot. And now Clem comes in swarming. Does get a tank for his troubles, but doesn't have enough tanks to reposition in time to kind of get that position that he needs to siege effectively. He's gonna relocate a couple of tanks behind these rocks, which is gonna be nice if he finds another one of those openings. He sees it right now as MarineLorD is unsieging. I think this is Clem's opportunity. Will take down the tank. MarineLorD cannot chase into the tank line, and Clem with a quick, swift victory, and that has to be a huge sigh of relief for a Clem that was looking super dejected at the start of that game. Now the momentum swings back in his favor to where MarineLorD has to be feeling like, you know, man, all that work, and now it's all for naught, right? It's all coming down to the last one.
I think MarineLorD done goofed here. He pissed off Clem at the wrong time, and Clem just shows up with a 11 minutes map 4 victory, pushing us to that map number 5 we were hoping for. That was very convincing here. Like, this is kind of what Clem was trying to achieve in the previous games, but wasn't quite able to do it the whole time. And now finally, he just went for the all-out aggression. No slowing down by him. I was just like, you know, in the game started, I'm like, maybe he should slow down, take things easy. He's like, no, I'm going to go 10 times harder. And then he just breaks MarineLorD.
Yeah, the players have taken each other's map picks. Now the map that nobody wanted, the map with 3% or less pick rate in this entire tournament in a TVT. I mean, the race that usually can use the map a little bit better than the other two. It's short rush distances. Tank pushes are going to be very, very effective. The early game has mostly gone in Clem's favor throughout the series. So I have to imagine that Beckett might just favor the youngling a little bit. And it's Beckett. I mean, what a cool finish.
Yeah, this is the map where everything gets crazy here potentially. His proxy by MarineLorD last game, not convincing. I think maybe if he wouldn't get scouted, there was a chance he could really surprise Clem, but Clem played it safe, checked that corner, saw it coming, and then he had the perfect response with the 3 SCVs on the high ground and initial defense. So if you want to try something like that, make sure it's the correct build, make sure, or like hope that I guess it doesn't get scouted, because if Clem sees what you're throwing at him in the early game, it's going to make his life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, and beyond that, Johan, I mean, in the first game, Clem didn't scout the proxy, floated barracks into his main Marauder, and he still got a slight advantage off of it. So, yeah, you know, if I'm MarineLorD in that position, sure, you're tired, sure, you want to end the series quickly, sure, you want to sneak one out, pull a fast one on Clem. But honestly, he's looked better in the very late game situations, right? So I would have rather have had 2 of those chances. Now he only has 1, but it's Beckett. So, you know, how much can you hope for a late game on this map? I'm not sure.
Yeah, not many expansions. There's a chance we see Meg, because like I had covered earlier, you know, like half our Protoss that wants to go into air, you know, like there's so few bases, they're kind of together, but obviously it's like kind of left, kind of right. So it's an interesting dynamic on this map. And I don't know that MarineLorD's getting tired, by the way, because this guy is definitely one of those guys that goes to bed very, very late. Of course, like the games were a little bit exhausting, I'm sure, but between the two, I'd be willing to bet that Clem usually goes to bed probably like 6 to 8 hours earlier than MarineLorD does every day.
All right. Well, wouldn't that make Clem tired? You're saying Clem's tired or MarineLorD?
Maybe Clem's more tired. I don't know. It's only like 10:24 p.m., so it's not too bad.
Clem is a fountain of youth, though, so he probably has a little bit more stamina than the man that the Muslim calls the Weasel. What a powerful man he's been throughout the day, though. And Beckett, I am so excited. I would like to see mech, and I wouldn't like to see mech at the same time. Because Clem, I mean, the one game that MarineLorD tried to mech, it was on a good mech map as well, on Blackburn, and it just didn't look very close. Clem is the type of player that can really outmaneuver you. Mech is not very maneuverable, it's very positional. I think we could see it. I want to say 30-40% chance that we do, Johan. In the top right-hand side of this final map, the French Derby, to determine who advances in the winner's bracket of this playoff. It is Clem, Team Liquid.
His opponent in the red, starting in the bottom left-hand side of the map, and also Terran and also from France, it is MarineLorD.
MarineLorD with the 2 hard-fought, longer game victories. Clem taking the early game leads just about in every map, and then converting in 2 of them, snowballing out of control. So we've gotten a taste of what might be coming here in this game, as both players are kind of happy to take both gases this time around.
Yeah, an interesting barracks location here for MarineLorD. Like, he could move that to the wall later down the line, but that might mean that, you know, he wants to have his add-on here and then maybe swap that for like the starport and factory down the line. Like, you would think that if Clem would scout, he'd check that corner inside of the main base also, but you never really know. I guess the Reaper also comes out in that corner, which is where sometimes the opponent might try to go into your base, so maybe you'd already be in position with a unit that's there and ready to defend.
Yeah, indeed. It's a very interesting maneuver. He has proxied enough throughout the series that it could be a thing that at least for a second or two gets inside of Clem's head and you know, makes him produce an extra unit out of a production facility that he didn't mean to or that he didn't want to. So you know, it's the kind of thing that probably won't have a great effect. It will probably be scouted, but if it's not, it could be game ending.
And maybe he was hoping to go around here and move back on that Reaper of Clem, which will do a good job of spotting the Reaper of MarineLorD here, and they both should be able to get out of this. Actually, Clem taking the advantage here with the first few hits. He's gonna chase that SCV away on the expansion. Clem already getting ahead in this game here with his crafty play.
Yeah, ever so slightly. Clem also aware of the Reaper of MarineLorD and where it potentially came from, so he is gonna get a slight advantage, like you were saying. His command center, as a result, is gonna be a little bit quicker to build, but it's really nothing anywhat close to defining this game.
And starports starts quite a bit earlier on the other side for Clem, actually. MarineLorD's floating a lot of minerals, so maybe he was planning the whole time on going into another CC, or... Oh, he starts starport now. Did he forget? Maybe he didn't have so much gas. Oh, okay, so yeah, because he was only doing like 2+1 on the gases, because he wanted full mineral saturation first. It feels like everything's just a little later this game for MarineLorD.
Yeah, and as much as I've said that Clem did take the early game advantages, the Cyclones early game have been very strong for MarineLorD. Clem looking for a delay on this CC. This could be deadly, especially on a map like Beckett. He's gonna get there a little bit faster than normal. MarineLorD now repositioning his next SCV. Here's the Cyclone to help out. Will be able to lock onto one of the more expensive, more reliable to kill units in the Hellion, and will force Clem back.
Yeah, very nicely done here by Clem, moving in there, delaying that a little bit more. Okay, it's not that late for MarineLorD in terms of how quickly he's going to be able to get the second orbital. Already double refinery on the Expo. Okay, I'm like, this has to be mech, right? Like, 4 gases this quickly.
I think it has to be. We'll have to wait and see. There is only 3 gases on the side of Clem. No tech lab whatsoever on that barracks, as Niall is pointing out. Whereas there is a reactor on the side of Clem. Taking a little bit faster of a command center is the youngling. Mech.
How many?
Mech.
Make it happen. Third CC starting for Clem. He gets the depot in the corner here for a little bit of extra spotting potential. If you're Clem, you also know that possibility on mech, so it probably would be good for him to confirm that as soon as possible if he can. But for now, the plan always remains the same. You want to build up the tank counts, get 2 to 3 Raven. We'll see when either player here chooses to start cutting those. And there's a chance he also goes for it here this time around because of the map as well. Hey, second factory, there it is for MarineLorD. My man.
My boy. Love to see it, love to see it. It will be mech this time around. Clem with a little bit of a poke though. As MarineLorD is actively transitioning, we'll get a good scan and take note of where everything is. That tank being the more important piece on the high ground. Clem will deem it not doable to push into it, as MarineLorD will reposition his second tank to defend his front, and that should pretty much negate any chance for Clem to push in too early.
Yeah, Clem always has some sort of supply advantage here, which goes to speak on how good his mechanics are, his prioritization of like everything that he needs to get. It's just that he's the one that's a lot more active, and I think it's because he's a higher like rated player, not just, you know, in terms of how you'd rate him, but how good he actually is, like overall, right? He's supposed to be the better player on paper, and he's confident in himself, so he's always moving across the map and the one to try and make stuff happen. Whereas MarineLorD, I don't know if it's because it's his style or because he recognizes that, but he's often the one just kind of sitting in his base and waiting for Clem to throw attacks at him.
Yeah, it has to be a playstyle thing too, right? Like, I think even against the best players in the world, even against, you know, even if Clem thought that he was unfavored, he is the type of player that is very aggressive, very, very aggressive himself. Let's see what happens here as auto turrets go down on either side. A Cyclone will falter on the side of MarineLorD. The tanks both out of range of each other. So nothing will come of that, as Clem will continue to push on forward and try to find a little bit of an angle. A lot more tanks for MarineLorD this time around, ready to go. And so Clem will retreat for now, happy with his advantage as far as the economy is concerned. He has already landed his third base, whereas MarineLorD is not even finished with building it.
Yeah, because of the skills that he's got, now MarineLorD is kind of confident to move out on the map and start, you know, trying to be aggressive. He's got the Ravens also ready here. He catches Clem in a position where it's actually kind of hard to retreat out of there. He's trying to get into a position on top of the third base, and I think he might be able to here in a second, as Clem wasn't fully ready for this attack.
Yeah. All right, one tank will falter, but with that, I think the rest of the tanks are going to be out of range for MarineLorD. Oh, a little bit of a flank, but I think that's a misclick from Clem, as 2 of his tanks are going to falter to basically nothing, while Clem was potentially paying attention to the Vikings in the air. I'm going to pay attention to his camera. I don't think he's noticed yet, or maybe he did at some point, but he looks laser focused this time around, not really regrets in his face anymore from that game 2 games ago. Now, this angle is beautiful for MarineLorD.
Yeah, if he can set up the siege here, even if somehow he ends up losing the air battle, which he's not particularly doing right now, it's very, very close. This is going to be amazing. Almost pulled SCVs here. Clem reconsidered midway through. It's MarineLorD starting to get ahead in this game. He has such a later third than his opponent, but he's found so much damage on the other side of the map, and that's because the initial attack by Clem was defended so well by MarineLorD.
Yeah, MarineLorD identified that he had more tanks than Clem. Suicided 2 of his tanks on the back line of MarineLorD's tanks. I don't think that was intentional at all. MarineLorD is gonna scan a Clem that is willing to go on the counter offense, is willing to say, okay, you can have that position, I'm gonna go attack you instead. But with that beautiful scan from the veteran, Clem will think better of it and just retake another third base, a little bit more forward. Cyclone even going down too.
MarineLorD's army is 9 tanks and 7 Vikings. On the other side, we got 4 tanks, 19 Marines. I mean, Marines not amazing against tanks unless you can get them like in a good position fighting against tanks that are unsieged and coming on from multiple angles. But yeah, oh my god, that siege is going to be so much better for MarineLorD. He has so many more tanks. Clem, he loses an extra tank. Don't tell me that last one is in range. I don't think it is.
It's not. It's not. The auto turret, however, for Clem did buy him a little bit of time. It soaked up a lot of damage, yet still, it only netted him 1 tank out of the 9 that we have on site that you were talking about. There's more now out as MarineLorD's count is up to 11. More Vikings as well. Beautiful kind of stutter step with his own Vikings MarineLorD to clear and retain the air control. These Marines are trying to make something happen for Clem. MarineLorD will siege a tank. The SCVs have to be pulled. Clem recognizes and respects the SCV pull as these tanks are on the hunt and siege. Clem cannot take that fight. Not without medevacs. It's not every day you see this, Todd.
Yeah, what have tanks ever chased Marines like this? This is insane. Clem actually on siege.
Oh.
MarineLorD sees it. The scan gets a big warning shot onto that tank here. That was a good job by Clem to buy a little bit of time and like reset the siege behind this onto his 3rd base. But the fact that MarineLorD's going mech and he's ahead in supply right now is very worrying.
Now.
Oh
Very good moves from MarineLorD.
Oh, no.
It might net him the game here as 3 more tanks have fallen. There is a medevac that was trying to counterattack. Now Clem is thinking better of it. Perhaps now looking to just flank with that army. He's gonna have a huge concave, but there are so many tanks. This mineral line will be sieged. Johan, we might be seeing the beginning of the end. There's still 4 tanks there, Clem. No, don't go.
It's 13 tanks to 2 right now in MarineLorD's favor. Those Vikings, they can keep on going forward. There's no Vikings left for Clem. He's completely given up on trying to make any Vikings. He goes to the left-hand side to try and shut down that base, but MarineLorD does not even care here. Just pushes that command center away. The tank again is getting reached by those tanks here of MarineLorD sieging that base, and the SCVs might be trapped in this corner. And MarineLorD might be able to do it.
Yeah, MarineLorD slowly pushing. He's still always leaving 4 tanks sieged. Beautiful drop onto the tanks from Clem. And actually, the French young man, he's gonna actually clean up MarineLorD somehow, some way. Beautiful moves to restabilize a game that for a second looked done.
And that was something that he achieved through threatening the counterattack, because then that forced MarineLorD to keep a lot of tanks back at home because he was worried about that attack. If MarineLorD had just straight up reinforced in that location, he would have had way too much for Clem to be able to handle. Make no mistake about it. MarineLorD's still ahead, he's still got more supply, but Clem with a fantastic defense onto his 3rd base finds a new lifeline here in this game, even though he's struggling to mine right now. Long distance mining from both the 3rd and 4th.
He already used the boost on those medevacs, so they are at a little bit of danger, but actually dropping the units is going to be enough. I'm completely with you. That's brilliant analysis, Johan. I really think that if those Hellions had crossed the map, there was no chance for that bio. Even if the tanks weren't as clumped, it would have been a very, very good engage from MarineLorD, and if he keeps that position, then the game is over. Make no mistake. Clem has made a little bit of a comeback, but he's still trailing back in supply. He's still the bio player against Mech, and MarineLorD is playing the game of his life, the series of his life.
Clem needs to keep doing this. He needs to keep threatening without overcommitting, because the one moment he attacks and he actually loses those units, that's going to be MarineLorD unsieging everything at home, going for the attack across the map, and probably ending it. Upgrade-wise, we're actually working with very little here. Blue Flame now starting, 1-1 finally only started. That's part of the reason why MarineLorD has so much, is he kind of skipped on those upgrades for a very long time.
Yeah, 3 Hellions will suicide, but will save 1 of the Hellions off to the side. So MarineLorD, you know, trying to get what he can, whatever value he can. Does kill 4 SCVs for his travel, is also getting information as far as where the army of Clem is. Then 1 Hellion's actually gonna go back in, morph into a Hellbat. All the cute moves from the veteran here.
And MarineLorD, I think he probably wanted to add more factories, maybe, because he was starting to get really rich here off his bases, and then realized, wait, I sent my barracks in the bottom right-hand side, it died, so he had to remake that instead of the main base just now and wait for it for a little bit. So he can add more factories in a few moments if he wants to, but he starts another CC here up there, and it's 4 bases against 4 bases. Clem equaling the supply here. He's done this fantastic job climbing back up, and he actually built up a bit of a tank count here. He's about to have 4.
Yeah, also a lot of Marauders, so there's no way those tanks want to be unsieged anymore chasing anything, because those Marauders are going to make quick work of any tanks that MarineLorD has. I would love for him to break those rocks, honestly. And the sensor tower actually could come into play. We saw that it already creates a little bit of a choke for MarineLorD should he want to fight in that position. It could be a detriment. Another good Hellion harass with just the 2 Hellions pulls the entire army of Clem back.
MarineLorD a little bit hesitant. He knows that as soon as he moves out, Clem is like, he could have a huge group of units in the top left that he would send immediately into sieging that planetary fortress on the left-hand side. It's always so hard to guess exactly how he's going to do it, but Clem has actually just kind of been sitting on his side of the map with his own tank count, just kind of ready to siege defensively if need be. They're both scanning one another right now. Clem moves left. Wait, he lost vision on the right side. Oh, it's almost like a blow. Oh, he's trying to counter-threaten that base on the left-hand side. That's what I was talking about. Now he steps inside of the Sentinel Tower.
Yeah, it'll work out too. He takes down a lot of tanks, but in retaliation, it's MarineLorD with actually some more SCV kills. 16 have gone down. MarineLorD with a 73 workers against 58. All the tank line. This might determine things. Thought if Clem cannot break MarineLorD smartly, he backs away. He wants another shot at it, but he has lost so much in the last minute.
Yeah, this little Marauder attack at the bottom actually might get the orbital command here. SCVs come in. Marauders are like, are you joking me? Of course you're going to die. Orbital, can he repair on time? There's not many units.
It, man. Yeah, his camera right now, I just looked at him to see what he thought of that attack. He did not think it was a good attack. Banged his head against his own seat. A huge sigh of non-relief. Whatever the bad sigh is, that's the sigh that he used.
Sigh of disappointment.
Yes, sigh of disappointment. And he is not happy right now, Clement. I mean, this is a good sign for a MarineLorD that might be looking for the upset of his life. Don't be too sad for Clem. He's still one of the strongest players in Europe. There's still a bracket, a longer road that he might have to travel should he lose this. But at this point, Johan, it's looking all MarineLorD. Yeah. Massive mech army, continued attacks with the Hellions. Clem has been on the brink of breaking down. It seems like almost mentally as well. After that exhausting game that we saw a couple of games ago. And now MarineLorD, all the chips on his side of the table.
It's been rock solid defensively the entire series. It's been kind of crazy. And now finds the counter-aggression. Is pretty much maxed out. 2-2 about to finish. Clem, he barely has any tanks out on the map. He has 2 tanks.
He's doing it, Johan. He's pushing in now through this very narrow choke. There is 4 tanks in the back. There is a Liberator to help out. Clem with one last-ditch effort, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the upset is complete. I think MarineLorD is doing it. The one tank holding the fort, not for long, says MarineLorD. Clem, hands off the keyboard, hands off the mouse. It is done. GG is typed and MarineLorD. Eusebio. He has done it, Johan. Wow.
MarineLorD with a big pop here at the end. You could tell how much this means